Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at in the world, ladies and gentlemen. We find you looking at an overhead view of the Hungaroring in Hungary. And speaking of Hungary, I'm hungry for some racing action. It's race day 35 here with the Dallara F3 cars at the Hungaroring. And of course, AMX Zero, it's AMX. You already know what to expect and what to love, and while things are coming to a close with Season 3 and we're getting ready to wrap things up, the excitement is far from over, the action is far from over, and of course, my name is Brad, and Wei-Han joins me here for this Sunday morning for you actually, racing here in AMX. So Wei-Han, how are you doing today?
Yeah, been good. It's Sunday night actually, or Monday morning. Yeah, I think we've come to quite an exciting place to race, although in many ways this track that we're coming to, Hungaroring, is kind of like Monaco in some ways, even though it's a permanent racetrack. But it's been home to quite some good racing actions, good racing moments from the decades that have gone past, and I'm certainly looking forward to what the drivers have in store for us tonight.
Yeah, and lots of racing action coming our way here at Hungary. Lots of very fast drivers set up and lots of great action to come your way. But before we can do that, there is a little bit of housekeeping that I do have to go through here with AMX. And of course, if you're new to AMX, I want to take a minute here and just welcome you. Welcome to the Premier Simracing League here on iRacing, and get ready for some fun action to come your way. AMX Season 3 overview. While we are almost done, we are just a week away from Season 3 being over. This is, of course, the most races in a year and the most variety of car track combos in a year. And while Season 3 is coming to a close, I'll tell you later what I know about Season 4. And, of course, race format here for Season 3. It's 15-minute qualifiers, top 15 reverse grid, and then we run two 15-minute heats, reversing the grid between. We pay the same prizes for qualifying in both heats, so your performance in every single one of them is paid out. Now, of course, AMX Zero, you don't have to have the camera on, you don't have to join the Zoom link, but if you do, it's an extra $1, and hey, free money is free money. AMX 10, it is required, and of course, you do get that link from the Discord or from the website. Balance is over $100 are paid out each month, and race days are on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And of course, you can sign up to race anytime, including now at amxrace.com. Now, I hear you saying, okay, Brad, that's cool. You pay out, you run races. We run, a variety of car and tracks. When do you do that? Well, if you're watching right now, then you know that we run this at 11:50 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays and 6:50 p.m. on Wednesdays. And of course, AMX 10 does follow shortly after at about 1:20 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, with the end of the season coming up, there will not be a Wednesday and Saturday race this week, and we will just be running this Sunday race and then a next Sunday race. But not everyone is American, and I understand that, and all of us here at AMX especially understand that. So if you are of a European persuasion and Central European time is more your conversion style, it's currently 5:50 p.m. and 7:20 p.m. Respectively is when we run AMX 0 and AMX 10. And then for any other time zones, pick the easiest time zone for you to convert and then kind of run things through. And that will give you exactly what time you can join us on. And I hear you saying, okay, I know when you race, I know you pay prizes, but what prizes do you pay, Brad? What exactly are you going to pay out here in AMX Zero? Well, in qualifying, first place gets $7, all the way down to 15th place will get just 20 cents. But hey, you didn't pay to enter AMX Zero, so 20 cents is 20 cents. We're going to invert the top 15, and then if you work your way from 15th back to first, it's another $7 plus $1 for the fastest lap, and we'll invert it one more time all the way through. And of course, Zoom, you get $1 for joining the Zoom link. Turn on the cam for that extra $1. So it's $100 per race that we give out, plus the cam prize. Now, you hear me saying, okay, money, money, money. But hey, money isn't all we're giving out here. To the victor goes the spoils. The AMX Zero champion will get the GT Lite Pro from our amazing friends at Next Level Racing, and we will throw that as just a prize on the top. And hey, I'm just saying the GT Lite Pro is a good addition or upgrade to any sim rig that you may have. And thank you to our friends at Next Level Racing for giving this away to our AMX Zero champion, of which it is becoming very close to the end of us claiming the AMX Zero champion. And as we look here, Corrington Gunez has a very, very good lead on Jackson Rasenje, $388 or points. In Corrington Gunez pocket, 27 races ran, 14 races won. And Jackson Rasenje, of course, down in P2. Victor Miranda has jumped up into the top 5 now. He's jumped 2 places to get up there. And Gustavo Ariel has jumped in the top 12 with just 9 races participated. So that is a big standing there and a big statement from Gustavo Ariel. He's ran 9 races and won 4, and that is huge to get himself up in the top 12 of the recognition tables here in AMX 0. And then, of course, you're saying, okay, you pay out, pay winnings, blah, 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 but what can I average? Well, here at AMX 0, this is where our averages are sitting, and you can see everybody in our top 12 is averaging over $7.50 per race ran, with the top 6 all averaging over $10 per race ran. So if you do the math on that, you average over $10, you run 10 races, you're going to hit $100 here in AMX 0. And of course, remember, if it doesn't pay out this season, it will continue to carry over. You continue to accumulate. So things will just continue on a rolling basis. But you can see some of the big names here. Corrington Gunez, of course, Gustavo Ariel, Victor Miranda, Gal Valero, Jackson Rasenje down in P11, Fabrizio Belziti in 10th. And all of these drivers have very, very strong average finishes and are averaging in at least $7.50 every time. Now, Wayhan, I believe I am done with all of the fun AMX 0 housekeeping, so I am going to turn it over to you for the fun bit. Why don't you go ahead and introduce us and every viewer to this beautiful car track combo that we have in Hungaroring with F3.
Yes, so we have indeed come to Hungaroring, the site of the Hungarian Grand Prix, which first opened in 1986. So in fact, it was the first racetrack to host a Formula 1 Grand Prix event in Eastern Europe back in the second half of the previous century. And ever since then, it's kind of seen quite a lot of good racing action and certainly a lot of great moments and significant moments as well, including the unfortunate incident where Felipe Massa in 2009 injured himself before a scary crash that happened here. So this track has seen some action, and it will hopefully also see a lot of action with the Formula 3 cars that will come here. So of course, when you take Formula 3 cars here, you don't it is absolutely one of an ideal combinations that you'll get, because this track is quite tight and it will be quite suited for open wheel cars like these Formula 3 cars. So these F3 cars are 2 steps below Formula 1 cars, as everyone knows. They have 220 horsepower, which is quite a decent amount, given that this car is only half a ton heavy. And of course, when you have Formula 3 cars here at Hungaroring, you'll get good racing action, just like you will with any other car at this track. So we
F3
will...
cars. Go ahead,
Yes.
Wayhan. Go ahead. I don't want to take your thunder.
Friendly. Sure. Yeah, I think we've seen some F3 cars race previously in this season, and I think with those races we've kind of had quite good racing action. But one of the changes that will kind of happen here as we come to the Hungaroring is that because this track is quite tight, it's tighter than usual, overtaking will be quite difficult. So I think the typical strategy of using your qualifying to kind of put yourself in a good position for the race won't really work here because of the reverse grids. So it's going to be so interesting to see how these drivers will handle that challenge, especially for drivers who start from the second half of the grid.
I will say, if you're a driver, the goal is you gotta go fast, and the drivers are not gonna slow down at all. And of course, F3 runs 30 car grids in real life, and I am counting a collective number of, I believe, 26 cars on our grid right now. I might be wrong. So we're running a fairly true to real life setup, and I don't know who we're on board with. I believe this is Tomas Simon running out of Valache, and you probably need to remind Simon here that this is just qualifying. You don't need to go side by side through there. And Tomas Simon, one of our VR drivers, has a lot of good pace, and VR is kind of a unique thing here in iRacing. It's something that you hear a lot of back and forth about, but I personally race in VR when I can, and I do enjoy VR. It gives you a little bit more dialed in. You can actually turn and look at the corners and spot your apexes. It gives you a little bit more freedom, and you can see that Tomas Simon, even though this is just an outlap, is absolutely not holding anything back here. Wayhan.
Yeah, it is also worth noting that, well, of course, for one, if you're using VR at a track at like Hungaroring, it will help you immensely because this is one of those places where you need a good visual of the corners that you're taking in order to get a good outcome for your lap time here. But it's also worth noting that Tomassimo is one of 2 drivers from Hungary. So in fact, this is his home track that he's racing at. So we will be expecting a great performance from Tomassimo, and we'll see how it goes. So we are just into qualifying. We should probably also see the qualifying lap times come up within the next 2 minutes or so. But Tamas also he's also one of our 3 World Championship class drivers here. I think we do have a total of 3 drivers from Hungary, not just 2, which is interesting. So we do have some home support flavor in some ways as we come race here at Hungaroring. We've also got a lot of other drivers. This is David Toth, the other driver from, I believe, Veloce Racing. He's our other Hungarian driver out on track. And he seems to be sporting one of 90s Williams livery, I think. One that's so iconic from back then. No, Renault, I'm mistaken.
It's a gorgeous livery, and I do love the old school classic throwback liveries. David Toth, 28-year-old driver, lots of good pace there, and I am going to be keeping my eyes on David Toth all the way through. And I mean, really, I'm keeping my eyes on all the drivers because that's kind of what we do here. But David Toth is definitely going to be set up for a very good race today. Currently going through and running around. We've got a variety of drivers and variety of just comfort levels through, but David Toth just looks real comfortable here. And if you are a very serious sim racer, there's certain cars and tracks that, you know, you kind of just learn and go through. A lot of people in iRacing look at the GTs and, you know, GTPs, which we have coming up in AMX 10, and they're very much about the mindset of, I want to run road, I want to run mixed classes, but getting comfortable in these open wheel cars is something that you have to do as well to be a very effective iRacer, because you learn a lot of things like David Toth learning how to lock the front wheel on that entry into turn 1 here in Hungary, which is a very, very tricky turn 1. And you'll hear us talk about that turn 1 a bit more in the race, because we've seen red flags in real life F1, we've seen red flags in real life F2 and F3 out of that turn 1 into turn 2 time and time again. So that turn 1 is going to be tricky in the race, but we've really got to just go through. Lucas Dornello getting cheered on by his son there, and that is adorable. Look at him, he's focused, he's in the zone. This kid's just like, hey, what you doing? And that's, you know, a unique challenge with sim racing, Wei-Han, is it's not just all about what you're doing, and you can't just cut out the outside world. You have those outside interferences that can affect you, but Lucas Dornello doing well to still throw his car there through that beautiful turn 6-7 chicane and doing really well, and now he can settle in for the back half of the lap.
Oh, so cute. Oh, and his son has just walked off. Well, we had a Hungarian pole just now. Norbert Leitner set a pole lap time before being dethroned by the one and only Gustavo Ariel. Well, there is quite a bit of an iRating difference there, so that's probably not unexpected. But otherwise, Leitner across the line once again for to retake pole position from Ariel. And he does so indeed. He's just set a lap time of 1:37.019, which is 0.2 of a second ahead of anyone else here at Hungary. So, I'm personally going to probably root for Leitner to continue to hold on to his pole position, because, you know, he has to do this track justice, being his home track in so many ways. So you can also kind of see from this perspective that although it doesn't seem like this track is narrow, when you're driving this car on this track, overtaking is difficult. I guess you've just seen that tackling those corners, the track does seem to be quite a fair bit narrower than usual. But so these drivers will have to play it smart later on if they want to have a shot at overtaking. I don't think there are plenty of overtaking opportunities here, because if you look at how the track is, especially these corners, it's quite hard to make a pass. But I think especially the fast drivers, they would be able to perhaps think of something later on. So this is Leitner continuing to sit on pole position, with Alberto Senao from, I believe, Portugal, sitting in what is now certain as Gustavo Ariel retakes pole once again with a 1:36.484. So that's a huge gap ahead of Norbert Leitner. So, Brad, who would you root for to take pole position?
Well, Norbert Leitner has a lot of pace, and looking up just some basic info about Norbert Leitner, very, very fast driver, has ran many iRacing events, has ran, many 24-hour events, and has the home field advantage, I have to say. So if I'm going to root for anyone, it's going to be the home crowd driver, Fabrizio Belziti, putting in a very, very comparable time. And 136.484, Gustavo Ariel was able to just hook around the perfect lap. Now remember, there's 30 cars on the track, or 26 cars on the track. So for these drivers, it's going to be very challenging for them to find some open track. And I just wonder if that isn't what happened with Gustavo Ariel and Timon Simon there, Tomas Simon, finding open track and just getting lucky enough to put in a good run and find that right opening to not have any issues with traffic, because that is part of the challenge of this 30-car grid, or 26-car grid. We're so close to that 30 mark, is finding that setup and finding just enough space. Jackson Resenje running the Red Bull livery here in the F3 cars. A good toss up there. And Jackson Resenje, of course, the Tony Kanaan Texaco driver, running a classic livery setup here on the F3s. Looks very, very true to life. And you can see Jackson Resenje very, very comfortable there down in the bottom. Has the Formula rim on and is just running the qualifying session he knows. Currently setting P18 in that number 18, but is going to try to work his way up to the top 15 so he can take advantage of that inverted grid as he can.
So we do have a Gustavo Ariel, the only non-Hungarian up on pole position, breaking through the Hungarian 2-3-4 that we have at this point. But this is Thomas Simon. He's going to come across the line, and we'll see if he's able to best his previous lap time to perhaps take pole. Unfortunately, doesn't seem to do so. Continues to hold on to second position. So this is Thomas Simon from Team Veloce VEXT. If you're interested in following Thomas Simon on social media, his tag is on screen right there. So one of the fast drivers on grid indeed. He's one of our three drivers in the World Championship Series on iRacing, which I believe is using the Porsche 911 Cup cars, which is quite a difference from this Formula 3 car that's being driven here. So certainly the fastest drivers here are also among the most adaptable. As we have a look at some of the, as we continue to have a look at Thomas Simon and some of the other drivers taking their cars around Hungaroring. And we kind of do have most of the drivers who've already set down their qualifying lap time. So all the drivers are within 2 seconds of one another, from mid 136 to mid 138. So that's a great indication of where exactly the drivers are at in terms of pace. This is Dylan Thompson, currently set on the grid as well. He's got a lap time of 138, mid 138. So we'll see if he's able to best his previous lap time attempt as he takes on another lap here at Hungaroring. And as we just said that, I think Gustavo Ariel set a new session best lap time of a high 136.4.
Yeah, drivers continue to fly through. And I will tell you that the big thing with it is, with these cars, because Formula is kind of my bread and butter. It's what got me started in sim racing was, F1, F2. But these Formula 3 cars are just over half a ton. They're 220 horsepower. They're a little bit less power than the F2 cars, and they're all stock, so you don't have anything crazy. And of course, here in AMX, we run baseline setups unless there's a track-specific setup. So the drivers are all running a similar setup, so it does come down to a bit of comfort level. And seeing that all of these drivers are separated by just about 2 seconds is, it's impressive to show that pace difference. It's 2.16 seconds, the gap from Tomas Simon all the way down into P23 at the moment, Dylan David Thompson. That pace difference is not as big, and when you invert that grid, you're going to start seeing race pace come out, and it's all about how are the drivers coaching the tires, what are they doing to carry momentum. These F3 cars aren't as acceleration dependent as you might see in the F1 cars, where you have to brake hard, sling it through the corner, and then floor it out of the corner. These cars, you need to carry more momentum than you might be accustomed to and used to. And there's less weight to kind of toss around than there is in GTs. So the drivers are really finding that challenge and that pace through. And of course, Gustavo Ariel, 136.43, very respectable time. And I only see 3 drivers in the 136s right now. And I'm curious to see, as we hit just a few minutes to go, Who else can get their way down into those 136s in that mid 136? Who can piece together that perfect Hungary lap? Gustavo Ariel sends it down into turn 1 here. And again, turn 1 makes or breaks your lap every time. I'll talk about that more in the race though, Wei-Han.
Yeah, I just remember you do commentary for an F1 league as well, and your F1 league would definitely have come to this track often, quite frequently. So you must be definitely experienced with racing here. So I'm looking forward to more of your expertise on this track indeed. As we have a look at William Deeney, who's in 18th at the moment. He's qualified 18th, currently with a lap time of a low 138. So still good pace nonetheless. Of course, all the drivers who are here, they are definitely of a certain pace indeed, and of course we are towards the latter half of qualifying, so drivers will have to try to put down their lap times as soon as possible if they still want a shot at taking pole.
Did William Deeney have a Santa with a guitar on the shelf behind him, or am I still half asleep and imagining things here?
I think so. I have to recall. I think so. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, we'll find out here in a minute. I'm sure the broadcast crew will bring that back up, because that is a way to motivate yourself to run through. Look at Gustavo Ariel coming around the final corner here. Coming back out on track, Gustavo Ariel, does he improve any? 136.483. Pedro Oliveira, 3 purple sectors. Looking very, very nice. Sorry, that was Gustavo Ariel, 136.254 around. And now we see Marcelio Lozano again running a throwback livery here in the F3. He's running very wide out of the final corner and just trying to stay comfortable and run things wide, be comfortable around. Sorry, that is Pedro Oliveira that we're looking at. And that throwback Ford livery, I love the throwback liveries on Formula cars. They look so right, and it's a big shout out to everyone that makes liveries and makes paints for these cars. Thank you for what you do. And now Lionel, the number 17 here, again, another good looking livery around, coming through the middle sector. Just a minute and change left to go here, and at this point the drivers need to get their laps, and we see Gustavo Ariel, Toth, Belziti, and Josh Perwine are down into the pits. Sineo in with a 136.909. Another driver joins the 136 club as we go through. So very, very good time there. And I think that is a Williams throwback livery possibly that he's running. I see some throwbacks for custom logos, but everybody very, very comfortable around. Look at the number 9 here of Simon. He's got 45 seconds left to put it in time. Wei-Han, you and me both know that once the 15-minute timer hits, the checkered flag's done. He's maybe got enough time to try to put in a final lap here.
Yeah, I hope he does so. We'll see if Thomas Simon will be able to do so, because here you don't really have that buffer time that you do have in officials. Your car will just get teleported away after like 5 seconds after the checker flag. So just around 15 seconds to go, and I believe we're down towards the second last corner. So 10 seconds to go before Thomas Simon has to take the line. So around the final corner, his time to beat. It's currently got 136.414. He has to beat a 0.254. Let's see if he's able to come across the line. Oh no! Oh yes, he does with a 136.344, but he doesn't move up a position, so he continues to sit at the qualifying second. Oh, that was so close.
Just barely got across the line there, and just across the line within a tenth of a second. Gustavo Ariel with the Texaco Tony Kanaan drivers, a BenQ session winner, and Tony Kanaan has been the session winners a lot here. So Texaco can be very, very happy with the shoutouts they're getting through. Tomas Simon is P2 there. Pedro Oliveira, 3rd place, half a second off. So the top 2 just barely separated, and then a big gap there. Back into 3rd place, Pedro Oliveira, David Toth, Alberto Sinao, Kyle Gaspar, Norbert Lintner, and Fabrizio Belziti, Mauricio Lozano, and Josh Perwine rounding out our top 10. Some other big names to mention here. Zamperlini P11, Jackson Rasinje P13, and Gaston Kohavi P14, but it is going to be Lionel Murr in 15th place, who will actually be our pole sitter here, Wei-Han, because remember, inverted top 15. So we line up our 26 cars with 15th place up front, and Gaston Kohavi will be in 2nd place. How will this thing line up as we get ready to go green?
Well, I'm going to perhaps expect some of the drivers like Gustavo Ariel, Thomas Simon, and maybe even David Toth go for a surge to overtake. Well, hopefully they do manage to overtake. If they do, they should do it safely. But I would probably expect some position shuffles, although knowing the fact that overtaking is quite difficult here at Hungary. So we'll see how it goes. It is definitely a standing start, as the viewer pointed out. So I think we should get some overtaking action right as the green flag flies.
Open wheel, standing start. We're looking for not 5 red lights like you might be used to with Formula, but we're looking for Barney, the flagman up there, to throw a green flag out. We hear the revving, and I hear the green, green, green called, and it is going to be underway here for this F3 AMX 0 race. And as we go underway, it is Lionel taking the lead, Jackson Resenje up into P2, Fabio Zaprolini 4th place, Gaston Harvey in 5th, and watch this, they're going to be 4 wide going into turn 1, and that doesn't work, because then you get people together, someone spins in the middle of the race line, someone gets collected, more cars around. Who is that? That is Burnett, who we are trying to stick with here. Somebody's in the wall, somebody's upside down, lots of action going through, and who is that? I believe that was Sineo that goes around. We have Gaston Kohalvi, Alberto Sineo, and Fabio Zaprolini all collected early on. Brandon Galoy through, and who is that on screen? Because that was another moment of drivers going through, the open wheels hooking together and producing some action. The lower power of these cars keeps cars closer together. As we run through here in the first sector, we're running around, coming out of turn 4, turn 5 now, and we're running down towards the chicane of turn 6, 7. Who's going to try to take a dive up the inside? Watch this, because I don't think anyone wants to. On lap 1 of 8, these heats are going to move quick, but way on, we've already lost several drivers. We've lost, I believe, Lucas Tornella, Gaston Kohalvi, Alberto Sineo, Brandon Galoy, Fabio Zampolini, Samuel Burnett, and Pedro Mora all getting collected up in lap 1 incidents.
Yeah, I think we do have quite a couple of the fast drivers who have been collected, so we won't really see how exactly they would fare in this race as their contention has come towards an end. But we do have some of the other drivers who did do well to continue to hold on to their positions. So it was Murillo currently in pole position, currently leading the race. From the start to this point and not lost the position, so we'll see if she's able to continue to hold on to the position as we do have a Jackson Kazenji in second who might... Oh, that's someone who's gone around once again. That's someone who's spun off at the final corner. Oh, huge
that was like
hit.
3 cars. Who was that? Sorry, Wayhan, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was a... I look up and I see cars going everywhere. I mean, man.
Oh yeah, I have to... I'm not exactly certain who got collected, but I think that was an overtaking attempt, possibly gone wrong. But Murillo continues to hold on to the race lead, which is a great performance indeed. With Jackson Resende continuing to sit in second and Josh Purvian up to third. Indeed, so we haven't... In fact, I think we haven't seen much overtaking action apart from drivers like David Todd and Gustavo Ariel, who've climbed a couple of positions. It's only these 2 drivers, as well as perhaps Thierry Esteban in 9th, who have managed to make overtaking moves. But otherwise, most of the drivers are still kind of close to where exactly they started from, apart from some drivers who also took advantage of various incidents that happened at the start. So that was... We do have a picture-in-picture replay of the crash that happened right after the start, and that was just after turn 1, and you can see some of the cars got collected along the exit. So nasty stuff indeed. I wouldn't exactly want to be in that position. So we have a look at Norbert Leitner, and we're back with the race leader Murillo indeed, as he comes upon the final corner to start the 3rd lap of racing here at Hungaroring. So don't let the low horsepower of these cars fool you, because these cars, although their horsepower is low, they're still fast indeed. In fact, I just saw these cars racing at Macau 2 weeks ago, and these things are still quite beast to handle. It's quite a spectacle.
Yeah, these cars really test your ability as a driver and what you can do. And we can see that Lionel here is very, very comfortable. Jackson Resenje is very comfortable as well. You see him running up the inside. And look at this. That is going to be David Toth trying to get underneath the inside of Gustavo Ariel out of 2. Going down into 3 now. And it is going to be David Toth that holds on to the lead here. And Jackson Resenje is keeping Lionel very, very honest here through the first sector, going into the nice chicane section here of the middle sector, where you might see some passing opportunities get sent, and you may not. I will say that the good news is that we are in sim racing, so any big crashes like the ones we saw there, lap 1 or any later on, thankfully none of these drivers have to pay for the damages, and thankfully none of our drivers are hurt. Because of course in real life a big accident like that would be instantly a red flag, and thankfully we don't have to worry about that here at iRacing. Our drivers just keep going through. Lionel here in first place is very happy that there's no red flags, there's no resets, there's no going for a second start attempt, because he can just settle in and carry along here. We've got the picture-in-picture here. Battle for 5th place down in the bottom right. That is Toth and Ariel that are keeping each other very honest and pushing along here as we see the leader, Lionel, who is under pressure by Jackson Rasenje, who is just trying to keep within that half-second mark. These cars are deceptively aerodynamic. And you might say, well, yeah, they're formula cars. Of course, downforce aerodynamics plays a part in it. But they're so light that it doesn't do as much as you might expect, say, if you are an F1 fan and what you may be looking for, you might be used to. But there is still some slipstream, so you still are going to see drivers trying to break the toe a little bit, swerving a little bit inside, outside. And you're going to watch that, especially here with this 5th place battle with Toth and Ariel. Ariel's going to dive it through, oh, so close to wheel contact. But keeping very clean. You see Gustavo Ariel is just trying to push, trying to get things through, but David Toth is defending. And how wide can you make a Formula 3 car? I don't know. He's going to try for a cheeky run on the inside here, and Gustavo Ariel wants to run around the outside. It turns to the inside here for turn 5, and Gustavo Ariel will get the pass done, but David Toth is going to try to get him back again in the chicane. Watch this way, hon. Up the chicane. Not a normal passing zone. A little bit of contact, and both drivers are taken out. And they collect the number 3 as well. Fabrizio Belzini gets collected in the mix as well. The nose cone is now missing on Gustavo Ariel's car. You can see the face of frustration. There was a dive up the inside there in turn 6 and 7. Not a conventional passing zone, but nevertheless, he tried for it. And in the end, it takes them out and collects Fabrizio Belzini as well.
That was such a good battle all the way up until that point, but it does go to show that here at Hungary, it's so difficult to overtake. Even if you're in an open wheeler with all the maneuverability that you have, overtaking is still a challenge. And yeah, you're right there, especially at turn 6 and 7, that chicane, that area, it's not easy to overtake. Even if you're side by side, you know, if you don't handle the apex correctly, you will probably come into contact with each other. But certainly up to that point, both David Toth and Gustavo Ariel did give us a great show, and of course they are currently handicapped at the moment, one being in the pits and also having damage. So we're now with some of the new guys currently fighting up top there. This is Josh Perwin, who's currently in 3rd, set behind Jackson Risenji in 2nd. So we do, if we have a look at the previous lap times, they're all within the low to mid 137s, so that's a good indication of the pace of these drivers. So probably continuing to sit in the toe of Resende to try to come as close as possible, but of course the next challenge will then be about finding the most likely overtaking opportunity as they take these tight corners indeed. Well, looking at Hungary, it does seem like the corners come one after another, a lot like a street circuit. So I think it is kind of characteristic of how this track is. It's a permanent racetrack, but with street circuit characteristics, right?
Yeah, and that's what, it's kind of unique in that regard, because it is something that drivers have to be very comfortable with, and be, you know, you need to be familiar with street tracks, which is something that every open wheel driver has to get their hands on and has to be comfortable with. As we're coming up here on a BenQ replay, and this is the replay of that moment between the number 23 and the number 25. You can see there 2 into 1 just doesn't go, and it catches them out. And the number 23 there going around Gustavo Ariel and comes through, and then Fabrizio Belzini is just a passenger in that. I mean, not a lot he could do there, Wayhan, in terms of avoiding that wreck. 2 into 1 just does not go there in turn 6.
Yeah, exactly, and yes, as the viewer pointed out, yes, he was defending such well indeed, but that incident had to unfortunately happen. Well, of course, you know, when you're a fast racing driver, oftentimes you do have to push your car over the edge every now and then, and sometimes things like these do happen, and it's part of the game, especially when you're so competitive up top. Yeah, and it's exactly that kind of approach to driving that brings these drivers all the way up to the top. So we have our race leader indeed, Murillo still in the race lead. still yet to be overtaken and still defending his race lead ahead of Jackson Resenge, who's I think been set in second place for most of the race. We are of course 75% completed here in the first heat with only 2 laps of racing to go, and already we can see the drivers have kind of become a little more spaced out, so overtaking opportunities would be quite a little bit sparse. As we have a look also with Jackson Resenge, you can kind of see that Jackson is he's trying also to find the line of least resistance, as he's trying to find an opportunity to make to find a way past Lionel, currently set in pole, currently in the race lead as they come around the final corner. So I think Resende had a slight bit of a better exit there, as Lionel goes all the way defensive along the inside, which means that Resende will have to, I guess he may have to try harder. Okay, he goes for an overtaking move along the inside of turn 1, and Resende goes along the inside with Lionel along the outside and makes the overtaking move work for now along the exit of turn 1. But we have a turn 2, which is a leftward hairpin right there. So will Lionel be able to retake his race lead? It seems to me that he's able to, but they're now side by side once again. Both drivers going, that was Resende going over the curbs there, very close indeed. So Lionel continues to defend onto his race lead with Resende set in second position. This is quite close battling happening at this point, as Resende is desperate to try to find as many overtaking opportunities as he can, but he comes towards a tricky sector at this point with chicanes and a couple of other corners coming up. This is the chicane of turns 6 and 7. All the drivers making it through single file, so difficult to overtake here as they come upon some of the other corners once again. Resende will have to try harder if he wants to find an overtaking opportunity pass as we come towards 2 laps to go of racing here. And they're now coming towards the third sector of the circuit, where it's just a right-hander followed by 2 hairpins. So it might be a bit difficult to overtake here as usual. Resende goes a little bit wide there, which means that Lionel will have a bit of a better run, but that is Resende. He tried to go along the outside of turn 13 there, but it's going to be turn 14, the final hairpin, which Resende does not unfortunately manage to make an overtaking move.
Jack, I know the production crew can see me because that turn 1 dive got my nod of approval there that Jackson Resenge went on. And watch Josh Purwine here, because he is just going to go ahead and send it for second place. He said, okay, Jackson, you had your chance to get the lead. You didn't get it, and now I want your P2. And look at him. Jackson Resenge is going to push Josh Purwine wide there, force him to defend and go wide around turn 1. But here's the thing, turn 2, left-hander up the inside. Jackson Resenge is going to try to shut the door. He gets very, very wiggly there. And you can see his nod of disapproval. He loses the back end of the car there. He's lost his rear wing. He does not have any downforce now. And again, these cars aren't downforce dependent, but it does make a significant difference. And now Jackson Resenge is just a passenger here in a go-kart, no traction, and he loses it there coming out of turn 4. And now he is just going to have to relegate as many positions as he can and try to nurse this car back home. As we watch here, Fabrizio Belzini is going to try to push up against Vinicius Bean and Norbert Lettner. Big mention to him, up into third place. And the hometown hero there is going to be trying to hold on to a podium finish here in Heat 1, as Leno now has nothing behind him to worry about. Josh Purwine is over half a second back coming out of the middle sector, and there is just nothing to worry about behind him there. So we'll watch Leno come through the final few corners. If he can keep these clean, he has a good run. He's kept good defense all the way through against a very, very fast Jackson Resenge, but Jackson Resenge unfortunately losing the back of the car there, and it turns this F3 car into just a light rear go-kart. Coming around this turn 14 and around for the win of Heat 1 is Leno. The fist pump, the scream, the excitement. That is a good feeling there for a win, and you can tell that the win means a lot to the winner here. Number 14, Esteban and Dean goes through. We follow the rest of the drivers through. Somebody has thrown their car into the wall side by side. Look at this. Toth and Dornella Mora side by side coming across the line, and it is going to be Pedro Mora, the Tony Kanaan driver, best David Toth, who finishes just outside of that inverted grid. All essential people. You see David Thompson coming through, and there we go. But Leno, take a bow. You have the fist bumps. I could see the scream. I couldn't hear it, but I know that win means a lot, and that makes me feel really good here. And there we go. Number 2 there, Kyle Gaspar just cuts the chicane. And Kyle Gaspar, with a race he would like to forget, finishing 21st, just wanting to go through, and I'm going to go ahead and steal the quote from the chat. The new guy is awesome, and the new guy has just won Heat 1 here in race day 35 of AMX 0. Take a bow, and Wayhan, what about that celebration?
That was so fantastic to watch. So obviously Lionel is, he's just been sitting at the race lead all race long, minding his own business, doing everything right to keep the race lead in his favor, and he's taken a race win. So he's done everything right to deserve this race win. Absolutely great job. But also shout out to some of the other drivers who fought so hard down from 15th position. Some of them climbing a couple of positions, many positions of the grid, only to kind of meet unfortunate incidents that have kind of affected their race finish. But nonetheless, I think it has been a great first heat of racing, and we will soon be moving to the second heat. But before that, let's go through the results. So Murillo Lionel in your BenQ session winner for the first heat of racing here at Hungaroring, with Josh Perwin, who's made his way up to second place, and we've also got Norbert Leitner, the hometown hero, currently was finished in third place. Vinicius Dean and Fabrizio Belzini come home in fourth and fifth. Hilvi Estevam and Pedro Dean come home in sixth, seventh. Jackson Resende, Mauricio Lozano, and Pedro Oliveira round off your top 10 finishers. And what this means is that Pedro Moura, Fabio Zampellini, and Diego Villarreal will start from the top three for the second heat here at the Hungaroring.
All the drivers line up for the second heat here. Remember, we invert the top 15 from the results of Heat 1, so our Heat 1 winner there, Murillo, will run all the way back to 15th place and now has to do the hard job of fighting through this grid. And listen to that F3 car for a second. I'm just going to stop. Listen to that rev. I love these cars. I love these cars so much. We're green flag running here. Barney throws the green flag, and we are going to be back in for another 8 laps of action. Look at the names up front. Pedro Moura, Fabio Zampellini, Diego Villarreal, big names here in AMX. You should know if you're familiar with the league. And as we run down into turn 1, what lessons did they take from the first heat start? I will tell you, not a lot, because look at that. Everybody's getting together, a little bit of bumping and banging. These are open wheel cars, guys, not NASCARs. We ran NASCARs Wednesday, and now we go through 3 wide running into turn 2, 4 wide going into turn 2. And what can they do to hold on? It's 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. They're settling things out. Somebody spins, and that is going to collect how much of the grid? How much of the grid did they collect? They collect a lot, and Lionel will make it through. But look at this. It is like 10 cars around. I am showing Gustavo Ariel, David Toth, Cal Gaspar, Litton Thompson, Vinicius Dean, William Deeney, and Tomas Simon, and Samuel Burnett, Gaston Kohalvi, all involved in that turn 2 incident. Not turn 1 incident, turn 2, turn 3 incident. But now they get through. We're into the middle part of the lap here, Wayhan, and at this point, they need to settle it down single file and focus on surviving this second 8 laps.
I am speechless, my friend. I have no idea exactly what happened. It just happened within the span of 2 corners and another huge incident. We thought the start to the first race was chaotic enough, but here in the second heat it's even more chaotic. Well, actually, that's a bronze GP from 2009 being driven by Carvalho. Oh, that's a lovely paint scheme. Oh, unfortunately. Oh no, he goes around. Jensen Button goes around.
Cursed livery confirmed.
Hey. They did really well in 2009 though. They won the first 6 races outright.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe he can get some luck going into the back half of this, and some luck needed for Pedro Moura defending against Fabio Zampellini and Pedro Oliveira, and Diego Villarreal in 4th. Jackson Resende has found his way back up into 5th, and look at Lionel moving up into 8th. And we are just watching these drivers settle things in. Look at this 3 wide. The number 12 sends it up the inside. And that 333 there of State just doesn't want to be involved there. And will State his way out and keep things moving forward. And this mid-pack battle is going to open things up. We are trying to look at a turn 1 lap 1 replay here momentarily and just see what sort of action we can see and try to get a breakdown of exactly what chaos happened there.
Yes, we continue on. This is Pedro Oliveira in 3rd, but we should have a replay being thrown out any moment now. But Pedro Oliveira in 3rd. Yes, we do have a BenQ session replay of the crash at turn 2. Oh, so you can see was the white car there that's got spun around, the number 11, and that kind of started a chain reaction of 2 other cars, and now yet another 2 cars got tangled right as they exited turn 3, which sent so many cars out into the runoff with damaged components, and that's just kind of ended the race contention for so many drivers indeed. And it seems like a good 5-6 drivers, maybe even 7 drivers that have been affected by that first 3-corner incident. But we head back to some of the front runners at this point. This is Fabrizio Belziti currently sitting in 6th with Pedro Dean along the inside. So Pedro Dean making the overtaking move along turn 1, one of the few places where you can make overtaking moves work safely here. Pedro Dean now up to 6th position. It does seem like Belziti might want to retake that position, so attempting the move along the outside. Oh, got dinged out there! That's Pedro Dean who's... Oh no, that's Belziti who got pushed out. I think that's some netcode contact there, and that pushed him down by 2 positions. We do have Heat 1 winner Murillo Leno over in 7th. He's probably slowly clambering his positions. He's 8 positions from where he started, so Murillo might want to gain even more positions if he's able to within the next couple of moments. Pedro Dean will have to try his best to defend his 6th position at this point, but it does look spicy, it does look exciting, and I think there's a lot in store for Leno over the next couple of laps of racing here.
Yeah, lap 3 of 8, 5 laps to go here in the heat, and it is at the moment Pedro Mora, Fabio Zampolini, and Pedro Oliveira's race to lose. Of course, you see Jackson Resenje in the background as well, trying to catch up, trying to put some pressure on, but he is doing very well to kind of hold his own and keep things through. And Fabio Zampolini very well in a position he's familiar with, being up in the front. Look at Pedro Oliveira. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and I always enjoy talking to Pedro Oliveira. He's very humble, and he's just very relaxed at all times, and that in these F3 cars is a very important thing to have. Stay relaxed and just stay knowledgeable of what's going on. And look at that, Pedro Oliveira with a 137.0, Jackson Resenje with a 136.9. So Pedro Oliveira, Jackson Resenje both have a lot of pace in these F3 cars, but it is one thing to catch the car in front, it's another to pass. And with so few good passing zones here in Hungary, you've got turn 1 and turn 2, of course, and then you can get some passes done in turn 12, 13, 14. But other than that, you can be brave and send it, but I'm not saying that brave is going to be the smartest way to go, as we witnessed in Heat 1 with turn 6 and 7, as we've seen in real life going around the left-hander here of turn 4 and the right-handers of turn 5. So you do have those moments where things can happen and things can get very, very close. You just have to be able to take advantage of a different pass. We've got the battle for 6 there in the picture-in-picture, and Weihan, this battle for 6 is going to open itself up as well. Things are going to get very, very spicy, because I think Leno is going to be able to catch up to Pedro Dean as we go, and I wonder if our Heat 1 winner within the next 4 laps can try to catch up to this leading pack and try to have a pass and try to have a run.
Yeah, I have a feeling Oliveira is doing his MMA stare down to try to perhaps throw Zampolini off his seat. Probably trying something there. You know, racing, part of good racing is sometimes you need to play mind games with the driver in front of you. And yeah, it does seem that Zampolini with an interesting shirt there. Is that a football jersey? Yellow football jersey, yeah. Anyway, he's currently sitting in 2nd, and he has a MMA fighter by the name of Pedro Oliveira behind in 3rd, so he'll have to try his best to hold on to his his 2nd position. Of course, Zampolini's other job is to try to close up as much as possible to the race leader, Pedro Moura, which he will probably do so well if he continues on with this pace. So we have both perspectives of the battle for 2nd place at this point. Pedro Oliveira has everything in his favor to try to close the gap as much as possible, because 6/10 of a second separate these two drivers. 2/10 of a second separate these two drivers, I think. So that's a good thing indeed. Pedro Moura continues to lead the race, and it's also worth noting that both Pedro Moura and Fabio Zampolini have not had their positions changed ever since the start of the race, so both drivers have held on to their positions really well indeed. Oliveira trying to look for as many opportunities as possible to perhaps stare down some overtaking opportunities, window of opportunities for overtaking within these few corners as they come towards the 3rd sector of racing here. And something to note when you're racing here in Hungary is that a lot of corners, they come in a left-right sequence, which does kind of help with overtaking just a slight bit if you know how to position your car at the right place.
Yeah, and it's like turn 1 and turn 2 on that note. If you're running turn 1, you run the outside there, and then you get the inside for turn 2, and that lets you get through and get a good pass. And you can set that up many points on the track, but you just have to be confident. You have to be comfortable. As we can see, Fabio Zampellini is very confident and comfortable in his P2 position right now. Jackson Resenje is very confident and comfortable that he's in 4th place and wants to get a run at this podium here and go for P3. Jackson Resenje with some good pace. And something I'm noticing that Pedro Mora is doing is just keeping a straight line down the main straight. He's not trying to swerve. He's not trying to do anything crazy. He's holding a straight line and going, oh, Jackson Resenje, that is defensive and heads-up driving. Pedro Oliveira with a big snap there in turn 1, loses the rear end of that car. Jackson Resenje, kudos to you for the heads-up driving because you just avoided a big race-ending crash there. You go up into P3, but now Pedro Oliveira, I believe the MMA stare-down is going to result in a technical knockout because Pedro Oliveira, you have to continue 2 more laps without the back half of the car. You can see he is not going to be happy with the handling of that car with no rear wing, no rear engine cover, and I think it's just a matter of time before Pedro Dean, Lionel, Perwan, Ariel just start reeling him in slowly but surely and moving his way up and dropping his way down into the lower positions because we know Dean's fast, we know Lionel's fast, and we know Josh Perwine is very, very fast, and they're not that far off. And at this point, if you're missing the back half of your car, you are indeed a sitting duck, as we saw with Jackson Resenje there at the end of Heat 1. And there's your example, a clean pass down and around. So Dean moves up into 4th place, and it's a bit back, but is going to try to set things up, continue moving forward. Watch Oliveira now, and watch as he drops down the order. I hate that. That's so unfortunate, but it's just... It's the nature of these F3 cars. You lose the rear wing, and it's just, man, they're so tricky.
Yeah, well, it does look like without the rear wing, it does kind of look like a Formula E car, like one of the most recent generation Formula E cars, Gen 3 Formula E cars from behind. In some ways. Oh, that seems to be an overtaking attempt, but I would kind of expect that without a rear wing, you might get more straight line top end speed, as we do have number 12 and 8 of Oliveira and Josh Perwin going at it with each other. So this is a battle for 6th position. Josh Perwin defending his 6th position. He's just made the overtaking move work as Pedro Oliveira due to his lack of a rear spoiler there. I would kind of expect that he would have some straight line speed, but oh yeah, there you go, rear end traction completely missing there. So if he's taking those high speed corners, you will not be able to make it through with the corner entry with the amount of speed that's being carried in. So we're back with Fabio Zampellini and Jackson Resenje right here. Close battle indeed. I think Resenje is still set behind Zampellini as we are now with 2 laps of racing to go. Zampellini continues to lead Resenje by 0.3 of a second as they now continue to head down this backstretch here on the approach to turn 12. Turn 12 could be quite a difficult corner because it's a 90-degree right hand. Oh no, this is not turn 12. Is it turn 12? Oh no, it should be one of those corners.
This is turn 13.
Ah yes, okay, turn 13 right here. As we come towards turn 14, well, it is worth noting that Pedro Mura does have a decisive lead over the rest of the field, but right here, the battle for 2nd place is the battle to kind of keep notice of as they come around the line where Jackson Resenje has just set the fastest lap time among the top 3 drivers, which is something worth noting indeed. So if this continues, Jackson Resenje might have an opportunity to make the overtaking move work.
Jackson Resenje, this is your chance. Turn 2, late dive down the inside. Can he hold on to it? He's going to look here. He's going to try, but he's not close enough. He's going to have maybe a couple more attempts to do what he can do. Jackson Resenje, we know he's a fast driver. Fabio Zampellini, I know that the fabulous Fabio knows how to defend his car through and defend the position. He will. Look at him. He positions the inside. He's going to block that apex off from Jackson Resenje and make sure Jackson Resenje can't get a run. Jackson Resenje around the outside. Fabio's going to switch to the outside. Jackson Resenje wants to go down the inside of turn 6. You can see Fabio just holds that racing line, does not give Jackson Resenje any room for error, and Jackson Resenje has to relegate back into 3rd place, and Jackson Resenje still trying to get that pass done as best as he can. But with just a few corners left, it's too little too late potentially. We see here Pedro Mora running through and will be running in for this final win. Jackson Resenje is going to try to set things up. He needs a late lunge into the inside, and he needs to just kind of set Zampellini off the line. He's going to outside it here around turn 13, and no! Jackson Resenje goes into the wall there with Zamperlini, I think a little bit of wheel contact possibly, and now Jackson Sinjay just needs to get his car back around, but Pedro Mora will cross the line with a decisive 3-second victory. Fabio Zamperlini P2 across the line. Pedro Dean P3. Lionel recovers to 4th place for P15. Jesper Wine, Saverio, and Jackson Sinjay will unfortunately, after all of that running in P3, will be in 7th place. Something's happened back in the mid-pack between Esteban and Toth, and it looks like that Toth will let Esteban go and hold on to his position, and Lucas Dornella will be in 15th place around. Some good sportsmanship being shown there, and I'm guessing that whatever happened between them, that is just a show of, hey, that was my fault, I'm sorry, keep your position. Now, Burnett will bring it across P16. The Canadian representing, I wonder if maple syrup will be his drink of choice after this race is over. And the Canadians are now going to attack me, so I apologize for the funny puns. They just they stick to you know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm done.
Mura celebrating his hard-fought race win. He's done everything right, just like, quite a trend you notice, like the race winners for both heats 1 and 2 they've started from pole, so they must have done something right too in order to hold on to their position. Of course, their raw pace did keep them up there, which was the case for Pedro Mura indeed. So we should have the race results appearing any moment now, but I think otherwise it has been quite an intense race. So your BenQ session winner for Heat 2 of racing here at the Race 35 Hungaroring of AMX 0. Pedro Mura, your race winner, with Fabio Zamperlini in 2nd and Pedro Dean coming home in 3rd. Mourinho Leno comes home in 4th with Josh Perwin in 5th. Gustavo Ariel and Jackson Sinjay come home in 6th and 7th. Diogo Villarreal, Team State, and Pedro Oliveira round off your top 10 race finishers for the second heat of racing here at the Hungaroring, and also the rest of the drivers who've done a great job at certainly to handle what has been an intense morning of racing here at Hungary.
You know what's fun about this, Wei-Han? Is it's been an intense morning, and we're not done. We still have another race coming up. We have AMX 10 with a car that I absolutely adore at a track that should suit it very well. I'll save the introductions for here in just a few minutes. So Wei-Han, I'll let you introduce those. It's a car that I've personally raced, and it's a track that I am familiar with. So we'll let things go here. Wei-Han, AMX 0, lots of action though all the way through.
Yeah, it has been, I think, maybe even a bit too much action if we were to put it that way. Well, I think with these Formula 3 cars, they're not exactly the easiest to drive, and also racing here at Hungary, it's not a place where overtaking is known to be easy. So, of course, incidents would have been expected every here and there at various points, but otherwise, I think the rest of the drivers did manage to hold their cars well, considering the challenges they faced, and it was, I think, a good outcome for most of the drivers, at least, who were involved.
For sure. It's a race some drivers want to remember. It's a race some drivers want to forget. And that victory celebration from Heat 1 is something I will always remember. Big thank you to BenQ, Next Level Racing, Automatics, and of course the KARA for helping with everything we do here at AMX. Check out all of the socials during our break. Me and Wei-Han have a plane to catch. We are going to jump our way over to Fuji. We're going to get ready for AMX 10. And everybody, stick around here for our short break. And when we come back, it is going to be some AMX 10 action coming at you.
to save our home. We must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for AMX 10. Me and Weihan caught a flight. Weihan got hungry for some sushi. We caught a flight. We jumped our way over to Japan. We picked up some fun cars. We picked up some fun racers. And we decided we're going to run an AMX 10 race here in Japan. And of course, it's not just me and Weihan joining for AMX 10, but we've decided to get the unrelated Evan and Brad together. We share the same surname, but hey, we're not related, I promise. We're together. Weihan's got some coffee. He is awake and functioning. So, Evan, good evening, morning. What time is it for you?
It's currently 6:10, but it's always a good time for race cars. Yes, me and Brad share the same surname, which is quite funny. But this is our first commentary together. It should be an absolute good one. We're at the Fuji Speedway. We have they picked me up on the plane. It did a quick layover in Dublin, and we are here in Japan for what should be a fantastic race. We've got quick cars, a very quick track, and we have a bunch of quick drivers.
Weihan, how are you feeling about things? We've got our food. You've got some coffee. I think you're awake and energized because I think all three of us were talking before the broadcast about some of the action that we're expecting here. Kind of give me a very one-word summary about how you're feeling.
I am pumped. Well, correction, it's not actually coffee, it's coffee liquor, so it's got no caffeine but full of alcohol. So, yes, I'm not ready. I'm so excited, and when you come to Fuji with prototypes, it's always good racing action, and that's something I'm certainly looking forward to. And I think we have another reason to look forward to this race, but we'll leave it a surprise until we head towards the racing action in just a moment's time.
And of course, the housekeeping to get underway here before we go to the surprises that we are all keeping, because we like surprises here at AMX. And I'm going to go ahead and release a surprise here during the housekeeping bit. Admin, don't yell at me. So we started Season 3 back on September 20th, and we're running all the way till next Sunday, December 17th. And I can tell you, you don't have to wait long for Season 4 after Season 3 ends. Get through your Christmas holidays and then make sure your sim rigs stay nice and in their upright positions, because Season 4 is expected mid-January. The exact date to be announced, but mid-January we will be coming back with more AMX Global action. $25,000 prize pool for Season 3 that still needs to be settled, though. It's the most races in a year and the most variety of car and tracks in a year. Again, if you see anyone else doing this, they got the idea from us. It's a 15-minute qualifying session. We invert the top 15, and then we run two 15-minute heat sessions where we invert the grid between Heat 1 and Heat 2, and the prize amounts are the same for every single session that we run between qualifying Heat 1 and Heat 2. You finish first place every time, you get the same amount of money every time. We don't switch things up, we don't change things around. Now, AMX 10 is a bit more strict of a league, so the Zoom link is required if you would like to get paid out. Of course, balances over $100 between AMX 0 and 10 are paid out every month, and the race days are Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, with the exception being this week and next week. We didn't run a race yesterday. We don't run a Wednesday, Saturday, because we're going towards the Season 3 finale on Sunday, December 17th, and then from there, we'll kick things back up with Season 4. And of course, if you want to sign up for even this race now, this race that is about to start, or you want to sign up for next Sunday, December 17th, amxrace.com is the place to do it. It's the place to get involved, and it's the place to get ready to race in and earn some great cash. Now you're saying, Brad, okay, cool. You've got me interested. You said you run. You've now confirmed Season 4 is coming up. But what times are we racing? Well, on your Sundays, it is going to be 1:20 p.m. is when our qualifying will kick off here in AMX 10. 11:50 a.m. was AMX 0, and again, Saturdays are 1:20 p.m., 8:20 p.m. on Wednesdays. Again, keep in mind there's not a Wednesday and Saturday session coming up this week, because all of us at AMX are prepping up to bring the big finale next Sunday. Now, I am aware that not everybody is like me. Not everybody is in Eastern Standard Time. We, of course, have my long-lost brother over in Dublin. And then, of course, we have Weihan, who is on the complete other side of the world from me. Now, if Central European Time is more of your persuasion, 7:20 p.m. is currently what time it should be for you when you're getting geared up for this absolute excitement that is AMX. Now, 5:50 p.m. was AMX 0, and you can translate those time zones accordingly to whatever time zone you need to make it fit for you. And you're saying, okay, I know when you race. You mentioned a $25,000 prize pool. What exactly are you giving out, though, in terms of a $25,000 prize pool? Well, look at this. Let's talk about it. $40 for first place in quali, all the way down to $3 in 15th place. Now, Heat 1, invert the top 15. If you work your way from 15th to first and you get a fastest lap, you get $45. $40 for first place, $5 for the fastest lap. Invert again, Heat 2, $40 for first place, $5 for fastest lap. Remember, the Zoom link is required though, and it is $601 that we are giving out every race. And just like AMX Zero, it is not just money that we're giving away. Our beautiful, beautiful friends at Next Level Racing, chef's kiss to you all. FGT Elite is being given away to our AMX 10 champion. And remember, there's just 2 races left to settle this AMX 10 champion fight. So a big thank you to all of our beautiful friends at Next Level Racing for setting this up and making sure that we have this available. Now, who is in the running for this AMX 10 champion? Well, let me just pull up the leaderboards here. Thank you, broadcast team, and show you. Quarantine Gunez, 26 races ran, 6 races won, 1,608 points. Big win there. I want to bring your attention to the other side of the board, though. Look at P9 and P10. Gustavo Ariel, Fabio Zamperlini flip-flopping positions. And your top 12 have some big names here. Quarantine Gunez, Gal Valero, Jackson Resenje, Fabrizio Belziti. We talked about Jackson Resenje a lot in AMX Zero today. But all the way down to Gerardo Ramos, Facundo Rago, and Fabio Zamperlini. Big names all the way up and down this AMX 10 leaderboard. Now, what do you average, though, when you run an AMX? Because some people, saying, hey, you can win money is fine, but what are you averaging? Well, if you're Enzo Benito, you run 1 race and get $95. If you're Chris Willem, you've ran 5 races, $78.40. If you're Quarantine Gunez, who is our AMX 10 leader at the moment and is on track for that FGT Elite, you've ran 26 races and you average $61.85 every time you run. But the big thing I do want to point out, all of our top 12 average winners are averaging over $58 a race. And that is a good chunk of money, which means every other AMX 10 race you run, if you're nice and consistent, you're running towards the front like these guys are, you are probably going to hit that payout mark. And just think about that for a second. Some good money. Now, of course, AMX 10 here, it is $10 to enter, but if you're quick on the draw, you're fast enough, AMX 10, the first 10 entries are free for AMX 10. And what does that mean? That means go to amxrace.com. The rolling signups are up. And if you are the quickest one to click on that AMX 10 link, get your info in and sign up, you get in for free, which means anything you run is free money. And I don't know about you all, I like free money. I know I like free money, so be sure to go to amxrace.com and sign up as fast as you can. Now, we are going to turn it over to the beautiful combo of Evan and Wei Han. And Evan, Wei Han, I believe, Evan, you've got our track info here for Fuji, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Fuji Speedway, a fabulous circuit, began life in a very unusual circumstance. It originally was planned for a NASCAR oval here in Japan. It was planned in the 1960s, of course first opened in 1965. It's a 4.563 kilometer circuit. Of course there is different variations of it. The lap record actually does belong to Felipe Massa in a Formula 1 car. It's got 16 corners, 6 to the left and 10 to the right. It is a fabulous track for the cars here this evening. Of course, many a famous race here in both Formula 1, in endurance racing, and then of course you can't forget all the recent history at the circuit in regards to the World Endurance Championship, also actually featured in the Olympic Games this year as well. Not this year, apologies, in previous years, in 2020.
Beautiful, beautiful track. Now, Wei Han, why don't you introduce us to what is probably my favorite car in the iRacing series, iRacing server right now, and introduce us to the car that is going to dominate this Fuji Speedway.
Absolutely. So it is the GTP specification of a car that we're using, and it's also become my favorite specific class of cars to race on the iRacing service because it is the pinnacle of endurance racing, specifically used in both the WEC as well as the IMSA sports car series in real life. So there are many variations of these GTP cars on iRacing. At least you have the Cadillac, you have the Acuras, as well as the Porsches and the BMW variants. All of them, in general, they've got 600-ish horsepower with, a hell of an amount of power and absolutely a lot of excitement that these cars bring indeed. So with these GTP cars at Fuji Speedway, there's no better combination because you are indeed at one of the most important sides of endurance racing with endurance racing cars. And in so many ways, it is the perfect combination that we have here.
This car track combo is going to be absolutely beautiful. And as we get ready here, qualifying already underway that I can see. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I get to see these cars in person for the first time in January because I'm going to the Rolex 24 However, getting to listen and watch the videos and run these cars, I ran the Le Mans, virtual Le Mans, and ran the GTP class actually in the virtual Le Mans. Nobody please go look up that video because I did so bad in it. But these cars are so much fun. There is so much speed. There are so many things to them, and it is just it can be such a challenging and rewarding car to really master. But it is just, this car track combo, hats off to AMX, because you all have absolutely nailed it with setting this car and this track together. And it fits so well with the progression of the F3s at Hungary, and you progress to something that's going to be a little bit more exciting and challenging. And for those of you in the chat who are asking, is Team Redline here today? Yes, Team Redline is running with us here in AMX 10. I love to see them, and there is a certain someone running a number 3 liveried car, and I'll let the broadcast team kind of reveal that one. I'm not going to say the name because I'm afraid if I say the name I might cry, but we do have all of Team Redline here running and involved. Peter Zuba in the number 1 BenQ car is looking to put in an impressive time. We've got all of the different cars represented. I see Caddies, I see Acuras, I see BMWs. I don't know, I do see at least one Porsche, with Jackson Rasenje being the brave one to go on the Porsche. And Wei-Han, what is your preferred GTP car? Which GTP car would you pick if you're going to pick one to run?
I would pick the Cadillac because it sounds amazing, and also because it is a little more forgiving to drive in comparison to perhaps some of the other variants, some of the other models. So that would be my pick, and I think that's also the pick for some of the drivers here. But we do kind of have a domination of, we do have more drivers on the Acuras as well as the BMWs on track, so that could be an indication of perhaps those two cars working back better here at Fuji Speedway. So we are riding on board with Josh Thompson, who has just, of course, all the drivers have just begun their qualifying, so they've all completed their out laps and they're down to set their first timed lap. So we will probably have a look at the leaderboard in just a moment's time when the lap times do start to stream in. So we have a good mix of all car manufacturers. Like you mentioned, just one Porsche, so that's a little bit disappointing because I do like Porsches as well. That's Will Chadwick, a very fast driver indeed, warming up his tires as he prepares for his first time lap. So we already do have some of the drivers who have set the lap times in. That is Peter Zuba, who you might be able to see later on once the timing tower appears, with a 1:27.985 pole lap time with some of the other drivers as well. So whilst that's about to happen, Will Chadwick, he's on the start-finish line, and he will come across the line hopefully with a lap time set. Oh no, he's not gonna. Oh, he does set a lap time of 1:44. So because that did involve some warm-up maneuvers, so his lap time won't be considered. But otherwise, most of the field should be out on track by now, and we should have a look at. We should be able to observe the different paces of all the drivers involved.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Wayne, 100%. The Cadillac would be my choice, purely because of how fantastic it sounds, especially when it's starting up. Once you're finished watching here this evening, folks, go look up how that Cadillac started up in the Le Mans pit lane. It's just beautiful. It's, of course, got the largest engine in class. It's a 5.5 litre V8. It is one of the heavier in class as well. It is an absolute beast, which we have the pleasure of spectating here this evening. You might notice a lot of traffic actually out on the circuit. That is because there's 30 plus of these guys who are all racing here for the last of the dollars in AMX 10 this season. Of course, we're coming up to the end of the championship this season. The team behind the scenes told us to let you know that mid-January is going to be when the next season is beginning, so one thing to keep an eye on. But it is Zuba who is quickest so far in qualifying with a 1:27.7. Quickest practice time was a 1:27.5. Oh yeah, you may recognize the guy who is or below Zuba, I should say. That's Max Verstappen, who goes 0.3 of a second slower than Zuba for the time being. He's just getting up to speed, as you can see. We are looking at him in the picture now. That is the number 3 that Brad was talking about earlier. But I guess you probably predicted that. But this Fuji circuit is one that these drivers, it takes a little bit to get up to speed on. You've got to be consistent. Obviously, qualifying usually, especially when it's only 15 minutes, is not really about consistency. It's about the one and done, the quick lap. But you've got to build consistency around Fuji because you have to get into that flow. We're on board with Verstappen here. heading in towards the middle sector, just heading up towards turn 13 now, which is a right-hander, and then it is a double left-hander in towards Net's corner. And you just got to see a balancing act with the throttle and the brake here, just feathering them both up through the left-hander towards turn 15. And you can see, actually backing out of that one it seems, you've got to nail this track. And you got to nail it quickly, because there's not an awful lot of time in qualifying and in both races to perfect this place.
Yeah, this track is one that is very unforgiving. You can see Max here going into the pits. So, and again, Max Verstappen needs no introduction, I don't feel. But in case you are not familiar with Max Verstappen, of course, 3-time world champion, a driver for Team Redline, a 3-time F1 world champion, driver for Redline. I don't know what more I need to say about him, but of course, I will say Team Redline is going to be on their P's and Q's because the boss is in town for this race. So I would say watch Team Redline because they are going to be very well running. Of course, our Texaco boys, Tony Kanaan, Victor Miranda. We know Victor Miranda's fast. And Tony Kanaan, we know they're fast. So expect Tony Kanaan to be on their P's and Q's as well. Because what better moment as a sim racing driver than to say, hey, I outran real life driver. I outran Team Redline. Though being able to put that on a resume somewhere, it's going to feel good for them to go through. So watch Victor Miranda as he goes. You can already see Victor Miranda is working up a little bit of a sweat here. He's handling these cars, and these cars are deceptively tough and gentle at the same time. And so what I mean by that, these cars are very fast, very quick. You have to be on the ball to handle these cars. But at the same time, these cars will give you whatever you need to make that happen. And there's different variances to each one. The Acura, it seems like might be the best one. And of course, Acura being the winners of the IMSA class in GTP. So it's no surprise to see Acuras are so popular, especially with the likes of Peter Zuba, who is our only driver in the 127s at the moment. And so you're going to continue to watch these GTP cars run around, run through, get comfortable. But there's so many cars. There's 34 cars on track right now. So you have just as much of a challenge of handling your car as you do handling the traffic around you. You see Peter Zuba running very wide there through the left-hander, giving a car the shot up the inside and out of the way. And Wei-Han, it's really going to be a challenging qualifying and a very, very challenging race as Gustavo Ariel goes ahead and sets our second driver in the 127s.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fortunately, the Fuji Speedway is built to handle many cars because it is obviously a top destination for endurance racing. So when you have a lot of traffic, racing at Fuji Speedway isn't too difficult, but of course the fact that it will also present good racing. So a couple of drivers have already moved their way up to the top 3. So that is David Toth, who was the last driver to have set his qualifying lap time under a 128. So these are the top 3 drivers who have their lap times within a 127s. Max Verstappen is the driver with a qualifying lap time of just over 128. So if he does want a shot at the top 3 of the qualifying results, he will have to also perhaps come across the line. So this is Chris Lallam across the line. He's currently he hasn't really set a viable qualifying lap time, so that's fine nonetheless. We have though come past the midpoint of qualifying. So if drivers want to have a good shot at qualifying, they'll have to make their laps count from this point on.
Yeah, and you can see these drivers may be struggling a little bit with the traffic as oh my goodness me, Lulham completely out of shape heading in towards turn number 4 and 5. Caught it very nicely indeed, a highly skilled driver, but he's currently way down the order, 27th for Lulham as of now. He's going to want to improve that certainly towards the end, because remember there is prize money for qualifying, folks, but we also reverse the top 15, so whoever is quickest in this qualifying session will be starting 15th for the first race. And then, however it plays out there, we will wait and see. But it is Zuba and Toth who are up the top, battling then Gustavo Ariel, who's gone to third. Then, of course, it is Verstappen, Simon and Chadwick, who are all so close in that battle for fourth. But I don't think this one is over just yet. We're going to see another few quick laps. This is Steinbraten. Apologies if my Norwegian surname pronunciation is not tip-top. That's been kind of a trend here in Season 3, whether it was me or Reed with French surnames around Watkins Glen, or whether it's here at Fuji, the European surnames seem to be catching us all out. But qualifying here, it's very important in terms of your prize money, because there is, if I remember correctly, $40 on the line here for pole position. So you're going to want to get that if you are racing for a prize, but we will wait and see. Here comes Chadwick across the stripe on the floor. Let's see what he can do on his next endeavour around this Fuji Speedway. A lot of drivers coming in and out of the pits, a lot of drivers doing 2 outlaps. It's very important as well to manage your hybrid battery system here in these cars. They make a big difference. Brad, you'll notice that when you're at the Rolex 24, you'll notice the difference between the engine power and the battery power. It's a 50 kilowatt system on these cars, and you're going to want to make sure you manage it correctly. Driver spotlight. Do we really need one? I think everybody knows who he is.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll take the driver spotlight, I'm not going to lie. Max Verstappen, Team Redline driver. Feels weird saying he's a Team Redline driver. We're going to go with it. 26 years old. Me and him share a birthday, fun fact. He's just a year older than me, but me and him share a birthday. So, Max Verstappen, I don't need to say anything else. I'm not going to say anything else. We're going to just let Max run his qualifying session through. You can see he is following that number 1 of Zuba around. And to mention the pronunciation thing real quick, Evan, you mentioned that all of the surnames are holding you up. Yeah, I'm American, so I'm just going to let that settle for a second for how that goes, my friend, because, yeah, I'm American, so try some of these names on my neck of the woods. More specifically, I am Southeastern U.S., so we'll let that go here. Wei-Han, we're not too far off the end of qualifying at this point, and Max Verstappen has now set provisional pole. Don't think anyone's surprised, but remember, in Wei-Han, we watched this in AMX 0, when you invert the top 15, things get crazy.
Yes, indeed. And, well, the good thing with racing here at Fuji is that you have plenty of opportunities for overtaking, unlike at Hungaroring, where it does get a little difficult if you want to rack yourself some positions. So, well, Verstappen managed to break through the 128 mark to set a whole lap time of 127.677, so that's a very fast time indeed, with Chris Lawlem, likewise his teammate with a 127.7. So we'll continue to observe Chris Lawlem as he comes upon the middle sector of Fuji Speedway. Well, racing here is a track that, well, it's quite a fast track, apart from that the Dunlop chicane part, which kind of slows you down for quite a fair bit. Then as we have a look at Thomas Simon, one of 4 World Championship racing drivers that we have within this session here today. A fun fact, Max Verstappen used to race in the World Championship Series as well in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercar back in 2020 and also various years prior, but right now it does happen that there are 4 other World Championship drivers racing with us, so that's definitely a great thing to see. Thomas Simon with the VR headset right there, so it's always good to see drivers using VR, because that does mean that you do have a better perspective of corner entry as you take on the racetracks here, and that also will probably bring about a lot of advantages as Thomas Simon takes on his lap here. So around the final corner, as he goes for the run down across the line, let's see, his time to beat would be a 127.958, so let's see if Thomas Simon will also be able to be the next driver to break through the 128 mark. So, oh, he does so indeed. Thomas Simon up to 6th position, pushing off Will Chadwick as we have a look at some of the other drivers here, Evan.
Yeah, Thomas is a really quick driver. He is very, very quick and one to keep an eye on. We're also seeing a rapid increasement in VR headsets. I know we had Tim State with one back when we were doing Magny Core, and now we have Thomas Sieben as well running the VR headset. We are looking at Rafael Casacuerta, who is on his next run. He is driving a musical instrument as well as having a load hung up in his back. A beautiful setup as ever from Rafael Casacuerta, but we've only got 15 seconds left in qualifying here at the Fuji Speedway. If your lap is not done by that 15-minute mark, you unfortunately will not get it completed. Peter Zuba is going to get it completed, however, and he is having a bit of a slipstream here down towards the start-finish line. Let's see, can he dislodge the Dutchman off pole position? No, he just misses the start-finish line. I don't think he was tracking for pole anyway, but an exciting end to qualifying nonetheless.
Yeah, a very exciting end to qualifying, and Max Verstappen, no surprise to anyone here, Max Verstappen, 127.677, your BenQ session winner here at AMX 10. Chris Lawlem, his teammate at Team Redline, just 4/100ths of a second back, and then just another another thousandths of a second back, we go to Peter Zuba, and then David Toth, Gustavo Ariel, Tomas Simon, William Chadwick, Victor Miranda, Fabrizio Belziti, and Ollie Steinbraten will be P10 here. Now, we go ahead and we look around. It is going to be, of course, Kyle Gaspar going into P11. And as you look through, remember, we invert the top 15 here at AMX. So what does that mean for Max Verstappen, who was so fast? He goes back to P15, and here's the thing, the top 20 were separated by less than a second. And so now you think about how fast that top 20 are. It is, it's kind of crazy to see that. Now, look at this, 30 cars, 34th session, 30 cars qualified, 2.7 seconds the gap. And Wei Han, we've got a very, very close field and some very, very fast and tricky cars. This only ends one of two ways.
Well, we do in fact, what that means is that we do in fact have another fast driver, Josh Thompson, starting from pole for the first heat here at Fuji Speedway. So obviously Josh Thompson being part of Team Redline as well, so Team Redline is still going to have a good shot at starting up front. So Josh Thompson starts from pole with Florian Lebiga starting from second along the outside. Pedro Oliveira and Pedro Deed start from third and fourth position. We've got some of the other drivers, Kyle Gaspar and Stan Bratton from fifth and sixth position. Fabrizio Belziti and Victor Miranda will start for seventh and eighth, and Will Chadwick and Tamas will round off your top 10 race starters for Heat 1 here at Fuji Speedway. Got plenty of other drivers who are also eager to get going here. So as opposed to the previous race earlier on at AMX 0 over at the Hungaroring, which was a standing start, right now with these prototypes we have a rolling start, and that means that we'll be off to a smooth start, which then means that we should be able to see when drivers will be able to perhaps pull off overtaking maneuvers to the race start. So we are riding with Max Verstappen as he takes off and goes on a half of a pace lap in some ways. That was Dunlop chicane as he comes upon the final couple of corners before the field prepares to start the race. Evan, I'm so excited, and I hope you are too. Looking forward to the green flag.
Yeah, this should be a really good one. We are going to have a rolling start, of course, as Wei Han said, on one of the longest straights of any circuit. Just over 1.5 kilometers is the main straight from Panasonic Corner down towards turn number 1. It is, of course, Josh Thompson and Florian Lebiga, both members of Team Redline, who will be starting at the front of this one. We are on board with Verstappen here for the race start. We have 600 brake horsepower plus machines ready to go and roaring to go here at one of Japan's finest racing facilities. Just hold it, the pace car pulls into the pit lane, meaning everything is a-okay. Thompson gets the control, the pace at the front, and now, oh no, bit of a hold again from Thompson, and now we go racing here at Fuji Speedway. Look at the start from Max Verstappen. No, he has to drop back, jump the gun a little bit too early. Reaction times very much on point, but even a little bit too early up the front. Looks like Lebiga is going to try go for the move on Josh Thompson. Bit of a dive as well from Pedro Dean in towards the first corner. There is a car gone wide there as well. I think that is Steinbraten who's gone a little bit wide. Victor Miranda as well looking to battle for this one. Verstappen and Vicenje side by side then in towards Coca-Cola corner at turn number 3. Verstappen just gets the move as well. Fabrizio Belziti as well looking to make a move on Kyle Gaspar for 7th position. All relatively cleanly here. We have somehow got 34 cars safely through the first sector at Fuji.
34 cars through a first sector at Fuji. This goes to show AMX 10, it steps things up and it brings a challenge. Chris Lillam and William Chadwick battling side by side here. The Brits are not being kind to each other. We're 3 wide in some areas. Gustavo Ariel trying to dive through. Who is that trying to go up the inside? That is the 13 of Chris Lillam taking things 3 wide. A little bit of a battle there, and they are continuing to settle themselves out in the background because the drivers know that the positions they get early on are gonna prove the difference later. And now, as we see here, up in the top, Josh Thompson's dropping back. Ollie Steinbraten is moving forward. Victor Miranda's up, and it is Lebierge who is currently in the lead in that number 15. And look at this, still side by side. We watch around. We see these drivers with lots of pace. William Chadwick, Kyle Gaspar dropping quickly to Simon, who is up and moving. Zuba's through. Everybody's starting to break slipstream a little bit, and you can see the drivers trying to slot into that slipstream. We're first lap down. Wei Han, 8 laps are going to move very, very quickly here.
Yes, the first lap has just gone by so quickly, and all the drivers are going absolutely defensive indeed, going towards the inside to defend their position, and then back to the outside to get the optimal entry into turn 1. But you do have Florian Lebecker as your race leader at this point. He's climbed one position from where he started from, so that's great stuff indeed. We have a look at Verstappen as we follow Verstappen through Coca-Cola corner and into 100R. That was Verstappen somewhere in the middle of the field. As we now have a look at Pedro Dean, who sits in third. He's under a lot of pressure from Victor Miranda, making his way through the hairpin. Well, it is kind of a hairpin, although it's not a very sharp hairpin. It still is a hairpin. There's Pedro Dean in third. He's trying as best as he can to try to close his gap with Pedro Oliveira, who sits in second position. As we do also have a look picture-in-picture for the battle for 6th position, currently held by Bell City, because it is a huge traffic jam situation that we have now. As the drivers come upon now, this is the part of the track that where drivers will go a little bit faster. So we're coming upon the final couple of corners, I believe, and this is Lebecker who will probably round off the second lap of racing as he leaves the final corner for the second time in this race to continue to hold on to the race lead and lead everyone through. So he's built himself a huge gap of 1.2 seconds, which means that he would probably be a little comfortable with all the gains that he's made at this point. So everyone else behind that single file, nobody thinking of defensive moves at this point. So it's a good sign that the rhythm of the race has kind of settled in and everyone is going racing well indeed, Evan.
Yeah, Zuba and Chadwick battling in the background. You can see the picture-in-picture. This is the battle for 6th position between Fabrizio Belziti and Chris Lulham, but the gap up the front from Florian Lebecker through Pedro Oliveira is now 1.4 seconds, 1.5, and ever so increasing. Lebecker has the bit between his teeth here, and he wants to take a win in AMX Global Season 3. We're now on board with Belziti, looking back at the ever so fearsome Chris Lulham. The Briton is certainly a star-studded sim racer, and he's a man to fear, and Belziti maybe knows that, running a little bit wide on the entrance to the turn 6 hairpin. His exit was pretty much nailed on. This is the BMW for Belziti, and Chris Lulham is running, of course, the Acura. So you're going to see the difference between these two machines as we are hopping through battles left, right and centre. Don't you know where to look? There's cars going for moves here everywhere. Victor Miranda of Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan being one of them, of course. He's looking to get past Pedro Dean. Maybe a bit of a slipstream down the main straight, doesn't go for the lunge in towards the final corner. He just wants to get the exit out of turn 16, absolutely puts pedal to the metal and is now going to hunt for this one down and towards turn number 1. You've got to be brave, got to have late braking, especially into this first corner, if you want to try and get the move done. You can see both fairly even in a straight line, but the slipstream slightly helping Miranda. Is there going to be a lunge down the inside by the Brazilian? He's looking, he's still looking. Here comes Victor Miranda. He commits late, that kind of catches Pedro Dean off guard, and a brilliant move by Victor Miranda. He's up onto the podium here at Fuji Speedway.
Victor Miranda, take a bow, because that was brave, it was beautiful, it was everything you wanted to see out of a GTP car pass. And take a bow, salute, whatever you want to say. That was a good run. Now Victor Miranda is going to set up to try to run into the second place slot. As we see Josh Thompson under pressure from Pedro Dean, Chris Lulham, Fabrizio Belziti battling it out. You see Josh Thompson, look at him. He's under pressure and he's cool, calm, collected. He is just looking up. He's looking around. He knows what he needs to do to hold that position that he's in P4 and try to chase down for P3. He knows that he needs to just settle things in. These cars do not play well to being overdriven. If you really try to push these cars more than they want, they're gonna bite back. They're so simple to drive, but a little too much and it'll catch you off guard like it did right there. That number 17, Fabrizio Belziti going wide, and David Toth can smell it. David Toth is gonna try to take advantage up the inside here through the right-hander, and look behind him, Max Verstappen is gonna go past his teammate Ollie Steinbraten and try to move forward, and there it is, the position swap. And it is going to be Belziti is still ahead of Toth, but Max Verstappen is now in the mix and gets past Ollie Steinbraten and is going to try to battle up towards these two up in the front. And Wayhan, watch this dive up the inside because David Toth is going to go for it. And I think David Toth, if he can stay late enough on the brakes, and he's got Gustavo Ariel for company as well, what is this 5-car pack going to do?
Absolutely an intense 5-car battle indeed. Of course, held by Gustavo Ariel, a very fast driver, and Verstappen currently in 11th. He does kind of want to make some position gains as well. So this is all led by Ariel, who's under certainly a lot of pressure. He's just had his position taken by David Toth as they went into what would seem to 100 out. That is a car that's gone around. Someone's gone around that. Oh no, it seems to be Belziti and Steinbraten, who have probably found themselves at the receiving end of an incident, and that leaves them out of contention for that mid-pack battle. Of course, some of the surviving drivers, Verstappen, Toth, and Ariel, continue on the pursuit for the 8th position at this point. Well, that happened right under our noses, and it was so sudden. But of course, these drivers have managed to handle it well, Evan.
Yeah, managed to escape that one. Very unfortunate for Belziti and Steinbraten, who were both having a very good race, but there was a bit of contact behind. I think it was Belziti ahead. I think Steinbraten just nicked the rear of Belziti, sent him round, and then Belziti was just a spinning top across the apex of the corner. Not really much that he could do about it, but Lebigra still leads this race. We are looking at Josh Thompson putting the pressure on Oliveira in towards turn number 1 on the defensive approach. That's going to leave Josh Thompson to go for the outside break to about meters later in towards the first corner, and the team redline driver just tries to hang it around the outside. Exit is in hand for Pedro Oliveira. He can use this to defend here, but he's got Lullum and Thompson right on his tail. Is Thompson going to go for the dive into Coca-Cola corner? No. Pedro Oliveira defends it successfully, and now that line from Josh Thompson is actually going to put him under a little bit of pressure from Chris Lullum and Pedro Dean right behind. You can see Oliveira looking to focus. There's almost a bit of a spin, actually. Thompson big into the wall goes Josh Thompson, almost making contact with his team redline teammate Chris Lullum. That's now 2 redline drivers we've lost heading in towards the turn 6 hairpin, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a GTP car in absolute ruins.
I told you all, these cars do not like it when you try to overdrive them. They'll give you everything you want to a point, and when you put too much in, they're gonna bite back, and we're starting to see that bite back point. These Team Redline drivers know where that edge is. They know how to find that edge, but we're starting to see that it's easy to go over the edge, especially when you're getting towards the end of a heat. And remember, they've got another 8-lap heat after this, but unfortunately, that is just, that car is trash. It's sent back into the garage, and that is probably going to be your Heat 1 completely over here. I'll tell you whose Heat 1 is not over at the moment. It is going to be Dean, who's chasing down Oliveira, who has got passed by Lullum. And Chris Lullum is trying to hold on here, and now watch this. Toth is going to have a dive up the inside. Pedro Oliveira knows he's in trouble. The Tony Kanaan driver, though, is very smart, very wise, and he's going to go through. We watched him with the UFC showdown face in the beginning of AMX 0, and we see he is keeping that same cool, calm, collected demeanor here in AMX 10. He's going to try to hold off David Toth as much as he can here, but look at David Toth, very, very fast, back on the back of this Tony Kanaan GTP car, and is just settling in. We're starting to see that mixture between the drivers getting very antsy, very aggressive, and settling in, and Max Verstappen showing the aggressiveness that he shows characteristically on track, and just sending it up the inside there of Dean, and just says, thank you very much, I'll take this. I'm not in the mood to wait and see how these two settle things out. And now Max Verstappen up into 6th place. He's gonna dive up the inside here and go for 5th. A little bit of bump to bump, and you can see the face, little bit of comment there. And now Max Verstappen just bullies his way up into 5th place, doing a characteristic Max Verstappen move. Just sends it up the inside. And Pedro Oliveira does not care. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. And ladies and gentlemen, Max Verstappen is now in the top 5, and that is a moment. We got a replay in the bottom right of the Josh Thompson crash, Wayhan.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate outing for Josh Thompson, as a ding there, and he went straight into the wall, and that's unfortunately his contention for this race over, because he did start from pole position. We do have the white flag this time by, and we have an overtaking attempt by Peter Zuba on Pedro Oliveira, it seems. So that's a move for P6 that has been successful. So Zuba now takes 6th position, and he has to defend his 6th position from Pedro Oliveira. Of course, Pedro Oliveira, after having that exchange with Max Verstappen, he doesn't exactly want to lose any more positions, so he has to. So absolutely, the pressure is on him to try to retain his ground as much as possible. We have a look at Chris Lullum, who's currently set in 3rd position. He wants to try to make the move for P2 work, because we've got less than a lap of racing to go. Both drivers are separated by 0.2 of a second. It is Miranda with a slight bit of advantage at this point. If we do have a look at the last time by, though, Chris Lullum has the lap time advantage. So Chris Lullum goes along the inside of Dunlop chicane, makes the overtaking move work, and Victor Miranda seems amused by that overtaking move as we come towards the final 2 corners of Racing. So the driver who's done everything right will be Florian Lebeguer, who's currently at the race lead and who will likely take the race win. But the battle here ensues for P2 because this is the battle to watch as the drivers come upon the final corner, it seems, here at Fuji Speedway. Chris Oliver made the last lap move work in his favor, and he's going to have to go defense. There's someone's gone around. That seems to be Verstappen, who's gone around as well as David Toft, but Verstappen will gain from that incident there. So it will be Lebeguer who takes a race win with Lalonde and Miranda, but Max Verstappen will lead the train to take 4th position for Heat 1 here at Fuji Speedway. Or is that going to be another driver? Is neck and neck race finish there, but Verstappen edges out the rest of the drivers, Pedro Oliveira and Will Chadwick, to take home 4th position, with the other drivers finishing in their respective positions. What a race finish, and there's a post-race shunt there between Verstappen and Oliveira, but great racing by all of these drivers involved.
A brilliant conclusion to action here for the first heat of Fuji Speedway. We've got another one coming up, folks. Exact same 8 laps again, ladies and gentlemen, and it should be a good one. It is in the end there between David Todt and Max Verstappen, and not too sure what actually happened, but certainly they were both off the road, and the Dutchman was facing the inside curve, which you probably shouldn't be heading through Panasonic Corner. But we're looking at Maurizio Lozano, who is coming home to finish 23rd, a valiant effort, as Luca took, Dornella. A little bit of a repair job needed maybe for the mechanics. But we will have your race results here for AMX 10, race 35, heat number 1. It was the Frenchman of Florian Lebeguer who takes his first AMX Global Season 3 victory. He is your BenQ session winner for today. Chris Lunham making the move in the last lap on Victor Miranda to finish second, and then of course Miranda in third for Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan. Max Verstappen comes home to finish 4th after that late incident with David Todt, and just very close behind was Pedro Oliveira and William Chadwick. Then it was Kyle Gaspar, David Todt, Pedro Dean, Pedro Zuba, Gustavo Ariel, Facundo Rago, Thomas Simon, Pedro Mora and Fabio Zamperlini round out your top 15. Then it was Robert Hume, Tim State and Ollie Steinbraten who round out the top 18. That then means, ladies and gentlemen, Fabio Zamperlini will lead us to the green flag here for heat number 2. Running down the rest of the order then, it is Danilo Fernandez in 19th, Rafael Casacurta in 20th, then it is Guillermo Eliezu in 21st, Norbert Leitner in 22nd, followed by Maurizio Lozano in 23rd, and it is Belziti, Villarreal, Dornella, Thompson, William Deeney, Jackson Resenge, Thierry Estevan, then it is Vinicius Dean, Gaston Colhavi, Josh Purween and Luke Crane.
And of course the bottom drivers there getting taken out in that lap 1 incident that we saw through, and just having to reset to pits, not finishing the race. But now is their chance to redemption. A P34 to P1 run would be amazing for some of these drivers. As we go for our short formation lap for the second time, it will be an Acura taking us around here, the number 15 coming around and taking us through. That is of course Florian Lebeguer, who won the Heat 1. It's Fabio Zamperlini in an Acura that will take us to the green flag, with Pedro Mora in second, Tomas Simon, Facundo Rago, second row, Gustavo Ariel, Peter Zuba, third row, Pedro Dean, David Toth, Kyle Gaspar, William Chadwick, Pedro Oliveira, Max Verstappen, Victor Miranda, Chris Lulham, and Florian Lebeguer and Robert Horn will be our top 16. And I do want to point out something that I feel like I remember Pedro Oliveira and Max Verstappen coming together last time Pedro Oliveira and Max Verstappen were both found in an AMX 10 race. So potentially we could watch history repeat itself here. But Fabio Zamperlini, the Duck Hawk Racing driver, takes us to the green flag there as the iRacing safety car pulls off, and he has the say when we go green. You can see everybody staging out slightly different, looking for a run. And there we go, we're through. Pedro Mora will be trying to get a quick run. Gustavo Ariel there will also be trying to get a quick run. We're going to possibly be 4 wide into turn 1 as we set things through. But Fabio Zamperlini, hard braking into turn 1, not looking behind. We're 3 wide by 3 wide by 3 wide by 3 wide all the way through the first corner. You can see there, that is the number 9 of, who is that actually there? That's 9th place of Pedro Dean that I was seeing. And Gustavo Ariel's around him, top through, everybody's through. Max Verstappen moving his way up into 9th place very quickly. And Zuba is up into 5th. We know Zuba has pace, and it's just a matter of can he hold on to it? Can he work his way back forward? David Toth getting up into 6th. William Chadwick being very, very aggressive early on. Facundo Rago up the inside. And now, ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath because 8 laps of heat are coming through. And as it sits so far, we've kept 34 cars on track. And Weihan, what are you going to be looking for here in Heat 2?
I'm hoping that all 34 cars remain on track, but as they come towards this choke point here known as the Dunlop chicane, one car has had to take the exit route there. But we do have a Max Verstappen who's climbed so many positions. He's been the biggest gainer so far with 7 positions gained. He's all the way up to 5th position, and Verstappen might want to make even more overtaking moves as he comes towards the final sector of the circuit for the first time in Heat 2. So yes, Verstappen has found his way past Pedro Mura, so I think we would probably be past those altercations that we saw in the first heat. But right now it's a straight line run down the main stretch. That is David Toth who's ahead of Max Verstappen, rather. David Toth behind Peter Zuber as he come around the start-finish line for a second time in this heat. Toth currently in 4th position. As he is definitely trying to find a window of opportunity to overtake Peter Zuber, his countrymen there, I believe, both drivers from Hungary, and as they come towards the first couple of sectors of Fuji Speedway, this is Coca-Cola corner, one of the high-speed corners before then coming upon 100R. Both drivers do have a fair bit of a gap of 0.2 of a second between each other, so that means that the drivers would be able to perhaps have a shot at overtaking within the next couple of opportunities. We now ride with the race leader at this point, Fabio Zampellini, who's currently been uncontested thus far. He's currently on the race lead. He started from pole position, and he currently leads Thomas Simon and Peter Zuber as well as the rest of the train through the Dunlop chicane and into the final sector. Some of the other cars also, the cars are still kind of closely packed together at this point, so if you want to make any overtaking moves, well, you have to make it at this point. So we have a quick look at this battle for the race lead from both the perspectives of Fabio Zampellini and Thomas Simon. We do have quite an eager Thomas Simon who will want to make an overtaking move work here.
Yeah, here comes Simone. He's going for the race lead. This is going to be a slipstream fest down towards turn number 1. Simone is not happy unless he wins, and he's gunning for this one here at Fuji Speedway. He won the first corner. Unfortunately, sorry, my screen froze, but there we go. Thomas Simon in towards the race lead, gets past Zampellini, a little bit wide actually. That's David Toth who is running a little bit wide there, I believe, as Peter Zuber is under pressure. Zuber looked like he was going to lose the spot at this point on the last lap, but he is he's driving very well, I got to say, in that 3rd place. Was the quickest, of course, in qualifying, running the BenQ race closure livery, so our sponsors will be very much happy with us for giving him a lot of screen time. But you can see Toth putting Zuber under a little bit of pressure. We now have the picture-in-picture courtesy of our fantastic directors, of course, as here we go. Zuber into the slipstream. He's going for this one in towards Dunlop corner, late on the brakes. Peter Zuber, brilliant overtake, gets the job done, has it all sorted by the apex. There's no kerfuffles on the exit of the corner, and now it is Simon and Zuber who are 1 and 2.
Peter Zuber, take a bow, because again, that was everything I want out of a GTP pass. It was brave, it was beautiful, it was bold, it was bombastic. We can throw out a lot of buzzwords with a B, but in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Bit of contact there, and oh, Max Verstappen, hold on. He just sends it up the inside there of, who was that? That was David Toth who got loose, and Max just said, okay, I've got the grip, up the inside, done, I'll take 4th place. And now, Max Verstappen will set his sights on our fabulous Fabio Zampellini, a name I've been saying since season 1. Fabulous Fabio. Hold your breath and don't look in your rearview mirror, but when you're a racing driver, Wayhan and Evan, I'm going to say you really don't care who it is behind you. They're not thinking about the fact like, oh, it's Max Verstappen behind me. I need to be careful what I do, because look at this. They're going to go side by side and go through. But Max ultimately just says, it's fine, Fabio. I'll get past you one way or another. But look at Chris Lillum. Chris Lillum's going to set off to get a pass done as well. And again, Fabio doesn't care that these are Team Redline drivers. He just knows they're drivers. And he wants past them. But Fabio is getting absolutely bullied. Look at this. Up the inside goes Chris Lillum. That's David Toth behind him trying to make another pass through. And as we watch here, David Toth will possibly have a move. Oh, no! If Fabio spins Chris Lillum, Fabio and Chris Lillum collect each other in the bus stop. And, Chris Lillum will relegate all the way back to 14th, possibly 15th. And Fabio Zampellini, again, he doesn't care who they are. And now he loses the rear end. He locks up the brakes. and that is going to spell disaster for him because watch this, Pedro Mora and now Josh Thompson are going to be on the hunt as well. Fabio Zampolini is having a race that is going from bad to worse, and there it is. Josh Thompson's passed, and Pedro Mora is going to be looking to get the run as well. Who comes out ahead of this battle? I don't know. Down the main straight, we're going to drag race here, and it is going to be Fabio Zampolini trying to hold on to that side slip from Josh Thompson. Going into turn one, though, he's going to be on the outside, but he clears the driver. He swipes around the front, and he's going mega defensive, but Josh Thompson will try to go late on the brakes, go up the inside, but he's not close enough to make it stick. Fabio Zampolini is going to hold on to P8 here. What's an exciting battle.
Well, this is the kind of racing action that we live for here on AMX, because all of the drivers made those racing maneuvers work very well indeed. Both drivers, they didn't really exactly leave a lot of space for the other driver, but space was still left nonetheless, and all of these overtaking moves have taken place relatively safely. So most of the drivers are still up where they are, although Fabio Zampolini, who was fighting real hard up within the top 5, he's lost a couple of positions. So Zampolini does have to perhaps think of regaining those positions. Josh Thompson, who had an unfortunate end to his great run in the first heat, is currently in 9th position, and Thompson would definitely want to have a go at regaining some of their lost positions to make up for what the unfortunate events in the first heat. But at the same time, we do have a Will Chadwick and Gustavo Ariel. Well, we cannot forget about Gustavo Ariel because he is absolutely the highest I-rating driver in this session, the only driver with 5-digit I-rating within this server indeed. So Ariel sits in 7th. And now back to the main stretch, and Ariel sits behind Will Chadwick, the driver from Altus Esports, I believe, as they go thundering down along the main stretch, one of the longest stretches in endurance racing, indeed. Well, great racing still thus far. We do have, if we do have a look at some of the times that the drivers have set down, I think we do have a session best set by Max Verstappen of a 1:28 nearly flat right there. We now ride with Ollie Steinbraten, who currently sits in the 11th position. He's quite a fair distance behind Pedro Mura, so taken that Coca-Cola corner there very, very nicely indeed as he comes upon 100R, looking perhaps to close up his gap with Pedro Mura, one aggressive driver and excellent driver indeed.
Yeah, and we've also got a battle for the win here as well. We cannot distract from that. Last time we saw, or last heat I should say, we saw Lebigre just constantly extend his gap. We've got a brilliant battle here between Simon Zuba and potentially Max Verstappen, potentially David Thought as well, because they're all catching. Bit of movement in the background. That's Leitner, who is passing Facundo Rago, but we're looking at Fabulous Fabio Zampolini. I love that nickname. That's a brilliant one. We are looking at him, who he lost an awful lot of spots, but he is working his way back up through the field a little bit. But that may not be for much longer, because Josh Thompson sends one down the inside here on Fabio Zampolini. Josh Thompson, can he cover him off in the exit? No, Zampolini with an absolute flyer, as there is a battle here in the background. This is Pedro Mora and Ollie Steinbraten side by side, heading down towards the first corner. Can Zampolini defend his position maybe a little bit more successfully than he has in previous battles so far this race? Thompson will have the better inside line, but this is a wide hairpin turn number 1. You can certainly go too wide through here. That'll not be the case, because it's going to be the beautiful switchback by Fabio Zampolini. No look on this time. Josh Thompson is up to 8th.
Josh Thompson definitely taking advantage of the hybrid battery there. You can hear the little bit of the uptick go through the engine as he accelerated out of the corner there of turn 1 and did very, very well. Ollie Steinbraten now past Lettner and Mora holding on to that P10 and trying to just settle down here. Lap 7 of 8, so just a handful of opportunities left for these drivers to settle in where they're going to go. Nobody knows except for them and except for us in about 2 laps time. So ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. Don't go anywhere. I'd say hold your breath, but I don't know that you want to hold your breath for about 3 minutes, and I don't recommend it. So keep breathing. Keep breathing indeed as we go through here, because it is Ollie Steinbraten trying to defend against a very, very fast and hungry Lettner going towards the end, with Chris Willem and Pedro Mora and Facundo Rago very, very close behind. Jackson Resenje in the background getting past Water and going forward. And now we just need to settle things in. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to the end of this race 35 session. Lap 8 is starting now, and it's just a handful of corners left to go, and everything is so close in pace, in time, and speed. What can a driver do to move forward and find their way ahead? And it's I don't know what's going to happen, but hold your breath and watch this, because Lettner is going to go up the inside of Ollie Steinbraten into turn 1. Can he hold on to this? Can he make this pass work? Will any sort of battery help out? Because Lettner is going to be trying to get the pace here, but Ollie Steinbraten, we know, has pace. He's a Team Redline driver. Of course he has pace. I don't need to explain that to you. Now, there we go. He goes wide, though. And now we go up the inside, around the outside. Lettner takes him side by side here through the middle. He's going to do his best to hold on to it, but what will happen? Wei Han, we're just a handful of corners, and this battle is far from over as they go side by side.
Yeah, some exciting battle indeed. This is the battle for the mid-pack of position, so obviously there will not be any reverse grids later on, so all the drivers will have to fight for whatever positions that they want to fight for. So Leitner currently in 11th, he's trying his best to find his way as he comes upon the Dunlop chicane segment. Evan, this looks really exciting. We do have a driver who's done everything right there, who's up front at the lead of the race, Thomas Simon.
Yeah, Seaman is going to take this round the final corner, and he has done enough. He's going to bring this one home and is going to win here at the Fuji Speedway. Heat number 2 of race 35. It is going to be Thomas Simon who takes the race victory ahead of Peter Zuber. It will be Max Verstappen who comes home in 3rd position, followed by David Totten. Here we go. They're still slipstreaming towards the line. This is Chris Lullum trying to get everything out of this race, just weaving and weaving and weaving all the way down the straight. It will be Leitner who takes it ahead of Chris Lullum. Lullum will take 12th, then Pedro Moura at 13th, and it is Facundo Rago and Jackson Masenje. But even for the minor placings, they're still battling here. This is Kyle Gaspar and Maurizio Lozano, who are side by side coming up towards the photo finish. Let's see who gets it. I think it's going to be Kyle Gaspar who does get ahead of Lozano, but great fighting all around the field.
Drivers keeping each other very honest all the way through and keeping just runs, and now the American of State, the last driver to cross the line. 24 of our 34 drivers finished this race, and that just goes to show you how much of a challenge this can be, because this track is deceptively hard. These cars are deceptively easy and hard to drive, but in the end, Tomas Simon will be the winner, the BenQ session winner. Look at him. He takes that VR headset off. He's very happy with that win. Throws his headset back on, and now he gets to let that face breathe a little bit. The VR headset proving victorious. Peter Zuba, 2nd place, our qualifying winner, and good pace all the way through, but just ran out of laps. Maybe 2 more laps. I think he could have brought things forward. Max Verstappen for Team Redline will finish up in 3rd. David Toff in 4th place. William Chadwick, top 5. Victor Miranda, 6th place there for the Tony Kanaan drivers. And Gustavo Ariel, P7. Josh Thompson, Fabio Zamperlini, and Ollie Steinbraten rounds out your top 10. Steinbraten and Lettner running a very good battle all the way through. And the same with Chris Lullum being in the mix. Pedro Mora, Facundo Rago, and Jackson Resenje round out your top 15 points paying places. Big mentions, of course, to Levierge, who had a very, very good Heat 1, and then in Heat 2, it just seemed to go backwards a little bit. Diego Villarreal doing very well to finish 18th. And of course, Elysiu finishing P19. And every driver participating, though, giving good pace. And guys, I mean, I don't know what more I wanted from that GTP racing, but that gave me everything I wanted. And Wei Han, that was wild. That was exciting. I don't know how many buzzwords I can come up with, so I'll let you try to come up with the buzzwords, okay?
Well, it was such an exciting race indeed. I think we've seen a lot of action from both the first and the second heats, and well, I think for the most part, most of the action was contained. We didn't really have much damage or like incidents as compared to perhaps AMX 0, where we had the Formula 3 cars at Hungaroring, but still, we could tell that all of the drivers were going at it as hard as possible with all the cars around them, and I think that was definitely great to see. What do you think, Evan?
I think it was a fantastic race. I'm not sure what more you can want from GTP racing. Usually they're in endurance races where it's a completely different thing to these sprint events. There's a little bit of a difference between the 24 hours of Le Mans and the 8 laps of Fuji Speedway, but still, nonetheless, it was a brilliant event.
It absolutely was, and I think the brilliant events will be rounded out whenever we get to listen to some brilliant drivers discuss their racing and discuss, how they felt about everything. We're going in. This is the penultimate race here for race 35 and the AMX season. We've got one more race day a week from today. So, Evan, being my surname share and my brother from halfway around the world, I am gonna say, I'll let you talk. to some of our drivers. We'll see how things go. We'll see what the drivers have to feel, and we'll see how things end up, because I believe we are ready to go with interviews. So I'll let you take things away, and then I'll check back in with you with Wei-Han after we get you to give the drivers some tough questions. Don't go easy on them, okay?
I will try. Peter, hello. A big thanks for joining us here in the interviews. It's a pleasure to speak to you. You were really quick today around the Fuji Speedway. You took second place in the second race, and you took pole position as well. How did you find today's racing? Did you enjoy it? Because it was certainly very fun on our end.
Yeah, hello everyone. Was really good fun. I really liked the race. It's one of my favorite circuits, so I thought, why not give it a go? I tried to race smartly, especially in the first race. I knew that the race will come to me, just as said how it ended in the first one. Should have been a bit higher, but the second one at least I got a better start position. So then again I tried to race it as clean as possible and didn't go for any risky moves. In the end managed to grab second place, and I knew that if I was just chilling, not doing any mistakes, the car behind wouldn't be able to catch. So really happy with the result, and congrats to Tamás for winning the second race.
Of course, you took part in the IMSA Esports Championship as well, so you're well used to being around this sort of vehicle. For those watching at home, the GTP cars, what are they like to drive? Are they fun? Are they awkward?
They're certainly very heavy and long, so in low speed they are very unresponsive. They are really eager, they're really not eager to turn, but in high speed they really shine. And on this new update it's really nice because you can race it a bit more. The tires are a bit less bad when you go for moves like this, like overtakes. So it was really good fun, and I really like these cars to race.
Speaking of overtakes, you of course started in the mid-pack because you were so high up in qualifying. Did you have a favourite overtake from today? We saw a lot of them, but was there one that you liked, or even a corner that you liked overtaking in?
Yeah, I think into turn 6, so out of the sweeping right-hander, if you set up a move very early, you can go for a surprise move on the inside, and then it offsets your opponent's line to the point that it's basically your corner from that point. And then I also did a smart move at the end of the race because I was saving my charge a bit, saving the ERS for the last laps of the race. I was waiting for everyone to run out of the boost early, so I was playing that for the last lap, and I managed to pass. I think it was Gustavo, but not sure.
Peter, thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We're going to let you go and enjoy that one. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was good fun. Hope we come back to these cars soon.
Yeah, we do too. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Raphael, a big thanks for joining us here in the interview room. It was a mixed bag maybe for you this evening, 20th in both races, but we had a lot of drivers here this evening. How did you find this evening's action?
Hello guys. I was trying just to drive and make to appear in the same picture of Max.
we know these cars are known for being very noisy, and I'm glad you are joining me here because I'm always very complimentary of your guitars and your drums in the background. I absolutely love your musical instruments. These cars are very, very noisy. What do you think about these cars? I asked a similar question to Peter as well, and he was very complimentary. Do you like driving this GTP machinery?
I think this car is much faster that I can drive. It's a hard car, no ABS. Is much up from my skill gap. It's hardest choice.
And you mentioned Max as well. Of course, we had Team Redline folk here this evening and Veloce. It was a big grid, a lot of cars around Fuji. How challenging is this to drive against such quick drivers? Because you are very quick. You're way quicker than I'll ever be. But how difficult is it to drive against such quick people?
Don't was challenge for me. It was very easy. I just say goodbye to them and enjoy the video.
Raphael, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. It was a pleasure talking to you. Enjoy your day, and hopefully we can speak to you again.
For me too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, got to turn the audio back up. I love Raphael's answer on that, where he says, yeah, that was an easy race for me. I just let everyone go and I just enjoyed the views. So, I mean, that goes to show sometimes the mindset is just to have fun. And, you know, at the end of the day, sim racing is all about having fun. And Evan, I think it's very important to note that those drivers, the big thing I always pick up every time we interview a driver is they just find all of this fun. Like, yes, they're here, they're racing, they're competing, they want to earn money, they want to win. But at the end of the day, this is fun for them.
Oh, absolutely. It is such a good time. We had a great time here as well. But these drivers, they have an awful lot of fun. And I mean, how could you not have fun? Because you're a racing fan. You drive iRacing. You're a top-class sim racer in terms of if you're racing here in AMX. They love overtaking. And when you have 34 cars battling around a 1 minute and 27, 28-ish track, eight laps for a heat, it's just passing, action. It's brilliant. It's fantastic fun. And those who truly love racing, they truly have fun here in AMX.
Yeah, for sure. You get to the point, I think, with racing where sometimes the drivers go, oh, well, pit stop, oh, strategy. You know, when do I pit? Freshest tires, fuel calculations, blah, 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 hybrid battery. Sometimes we just want to send it. Wayhan, sometimes we just want to send it. And I think that's what produces some of the best action. Even if for us as commentators it gets chaotic, I will say, Wayhan, that sometimes it's just fun to watch. It's fun to see that chaos and action go through. Because at the end of the day, it's no harm, no foul.
Yeah, the great thing with as with all kinds of league racing is that sometimes you get the opportunity to mix yourself with all kinds of racing drivers, different kinds of racing drivers, and even put yourself with drivers who are much better than you, or otherwise drivers who you would not probably be able to encounter with in official racing. And oftentimes when you have that in league racing, it does a lot to in terms of driver development and maybe just exposing yourself to all of these different kind of experiences as well as opportunities. So in many ways, I do agree with what the driver shared. You know, sometimes you have plenty of opportunities to race, but sometimes it's good to just chill and let things happen and take things as they come, Brett.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to touch on this too. We are, of course, this is ending our penultimate race day. We come back in 7 days' time for the final race of Season 3. I said it earlier in the broadcast, but in case someone missed it, Season 4 is confirmed with a mid-January start date. And if you want more info, the Discord or amxrace.com is the place to go. I was kind of joking on the general earlier during the interviews. I said, someone said, when's the next season starting after this season? We know the dates. We have the inside info. However, I am legally obligated to not share that with anyone yet. So let me just tell you that the races are coming. The season and the action and the chaos and the fun and the beauty is going to be continuing very soon. I hope everyone rests up over their Christmas break. And Wayhan, Evan, I know we've all been involved with the league for a hot minute now, I can say. It's very exciting to see things go through.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic season. AMX just gets better. And this season it was fantastic. Next season, hopefully, it's fantastic as well. But your results, and it's a man who is probably a bit familiar to first place at this point. 19 Formula 1 races do not even come close to the gratification that you get for being number one here in AMX 10. Race 35, it is, of course, Max Verstappen, who picks up a grand prize of $83. Does he need it? That's another question. Thomas Seaman, then in second, took the race win in heat number 2. He takes second place, and then it is fellow Team Redline driver to Max, Chris Lullum, who takes third. Petr Zuba then in fourth, who we spoke to. Then it is Florian Labigre. Then it is David Todd, Victor Miranda, William Chadwick, Gustavo Ariel, and Pedro Oliveira. A lot of big winners tonight, and it was great to see the quickest drivers, I suppose, picking up the biggest prize money.
Yeah, Wayhan, big race through. And now that we end things through, we've got a week to decompress and breathe and get ready for the final race. Any final thoughts here about race day 35 before we put it in the history books?
Well, I think this race would probably be one of the most exciting, intense, action-packed races that we've seen probably all season long. Owing to the very optimal car track combination that we had. Formula 3s at Hungary and GTPs anywhere would be good. More so here at Fuji Speedway, but otherwise I think it's been such an exceptional race, and likewise has it been an exceptional season. And I think we've got, yes, like you mentioned, one more week before the one last hurrah next weekend.
Evan, your final thoughts before we wrap up this broadcast here.
I think it was just a great evening of racing. We had a brilliant car around a very good track, and we had some of the best drivers in sim racing. We had one of the best drivers in World Motorsport, and we had our usual AMX regulars who are absolutely brilliant. And we thank all of them for racing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well, and I think everyone at home did also. A brilliant evening for all. The real winners are the fans, as Reed would say.
The real winners are the fans, everyone watching the broadcast, and everyone that's ever participated and been involved. Of course, over 100 drivers have been involved in AMX Season 3. What numbers will we hit in Season 4? Well, we have to finish Season 3 first before we know. Big thank you to Automatics, BenQ, and Next Level Racing for all the support that they always give us here at AMX Global. And of course, if you want to get involved with the final race day and find out news about future race days, the social media is the way to do it. It's Instagram, it's Twitch, it's Twitter, it's Discord, it's YouTube, it's AMXRace.com, it's TikTok. And hey, come hang out on Discord. You get to talk to all of these drivers that you just watched race. You get to talk to all of us that you just heard our voices for the past couple of hours. And we can give you all the down low info about AMX. So, on behalf of Evan, on behalf of Wayhan, my name is Brad, and we will see you in 7 days' time for the conclusion of AMX Season 3.